quorum. Thank you very much for being here. I wanted to welcome you to our January 24th, 2023 full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 11. My name is Xavier Santiago. I am the chair of CB11. This meeting is officially called to order at 6:37 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Angel Mescane, Assistant District Manager Khalid Nixon, and Community Liaison Marlene Pierre. First, I'd like to welcome you all back and wish you a happy new year. Happy Lunar New Year. And before we jump right in, I just want to have a moment of silence for those lives lost and our sister state in California. As I'm sure you've stayed tuned in, it was a senseless tragedy that's happened, and we're getting more information as it comes across. But gun violence and violence of any kind is one of our deepest tragedies, and we have to band together to face it as one. Now, into the order of this evening, I wanted to lay down a few ground rules in order to conduct an efficient meeting. There are a handful that we have stated at the beginning of every meeting, and I'm going to go through them again. So for our new members and attendees, and I see a lot of new faces and some familiar names of our public, so thank you for being with us. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear, and you should find the raise hand function. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. 3, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information, for example, an email address or a telephone number that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. 4, when a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you. You can unmute yourself so that you may speak. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. After you are done speaking and fielding your questions, please return to muting yourself, so that way we can conduct an efficient meeting. Finally, 6, members of the public, there is a link that's been dropped in the chat. You can register or pre-register form and provide your name, affiliation, and what topic you wish to speak about. A link to the registration, has been dropped in the chat. We must complete all of the public session by 7:15 p.m. And with that, I will ask our secretary to now take the roll. Michelle? Standing by, wait. Michelle? It appears like Michelle dropped off on my screen. Angel, would you be so kind as to help us? Oh, she can't unmute.
Sure, I'll call the roll.
Okay, thank you.
Board members, when I call your name, please answer present. Jose Altamirano. Leroy Andino. Stephanie Arroyo.
Present.
April Autry.
Present.
Dem Brija.
Present.
Clyde Chowdhury. Ann Collier.
Present.
Kevin Cronshaw.
Present.
Kenneth Crouch.
Present.
Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz. Angela Donadell.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Judith Febraro.
Present.
Roger Flores.
Presente.
Osendi Garcia. Brendan Gillespie is excused. David Giordano.
Present.
John Green.
Yeah.
Wanda Hopkins.
Present. Present.
Alonzo Johnson. Alonzo Johnson. Jill Jones.
Present.
Marissa Mack. Giselle Malave.
Present.
Malik McCullough. Jennifer Meyer.
Present.
Jessica Morris is excused. Nelson Orama. Poli Pavon.
Present.
Arturo Perez is excused. Claudia Perez.
Present.
Roberto Perez. Vasia Robinson Teague.
Present.
Thank you. Natasha Rodriguez.
Present.
Eugene Rodriguez.
Present.
John Sanders. Xavier Santiago.
Present.
Isaac Scott.
Present.
Russell Schuler.
Present.
Vinny Torres. Marie Vasquez. Jason Villanueva is excused. Candy Vives Vasquez. Michelle Wilcher
Present.
Clement. Thank you. Michelle Wilcher Clement.
Yeah.
Jordan Wright. And Jason Wu. We have quorum.
Thank you very much, Angel. And thank you for your patience, everyone. And the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Board members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Rosa, you have your hand raised. Do you wish to object on the agenda, or is that an old hand?
That was an old hand when it was calling our names. I wanted to say present, but my unmute button and my signal was not working. My apologies.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Seeing no other hands raised, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Okay, moving on to our pre-registered speakers. A few ground rules for those wishing to speak. You must sign up to give testimony, providing your name and affiliation. You will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Please state your phone and email up front. 2 minutes, we recommend 2 minutes to speak and reserve a minute for questions. A timer will be up as an aid so you can track your time. 3, you should address your testimony to the board and not the public. 4, you should speak clearly and into the microphone. 5, you should be prepared to respond to board members who may ask questions in order to clarify facts and opinions presented in your comments. 6, if required, the chair will remind you of the time or concluding remarks. Board members, again, quick reminder, been great about this. Just ask clarifying questions. Commentary will not be entertained. First, let's see. I have a list of people here, but first, who is the first to sign up for our public session? Was that Nina Saxon from George Washington Carver Houses Resident Association? Nina?
Hi, good evening.
Nina?
Suffered from a big shooting. Yes, yes.
Yeah, you're just
Yes.
breaking up a little bit. Yeah, you were just breaking up. So try to find us.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Hi, my name is Nina Saxon. I am the president of Carver Houses. As you know, that Carver Houses suffered a shooting last week that ultimately killed a person. I am asking for this particular board to assign an ad hoc or advisory committee that is referencely with the public service committee, focusing on NYCHA housing and public and security and public safety. I want this committee to work on lighting, work on composing a letter to the mayor, elected officials, asking for more police presence because we have the largest concentration of NYCHA, and public service corridors where we can utilize safe space. I'm willing to serve on this committee, work on this committee, work with my colleagues, other TA presidents, other advocates, but I want this board to lead it because it's about time that we take back our community, and we cannot allow what happened in Carver, what happened in East River with the domestic violence issue where we are just standing on the sidelines. So I'm not gonna be long. I just wanted to bring this to your attention and requesting that we have a separate task force that deals with public service, only committed to NYCHA development, where we really have picked real solutions. We really work with top elected officials, top police officials, top interagency officials that talk about mental health, et cetera, to really find positive solutions. This is not a talking time, but this is an action time. Thank you so much for your appreciation for letting me talk here. Xavier?
Yes, thank you very much, Nina, for being in this space. And it's always good to have former board members back in and someone who is so devoted to our community. I'd like to open it up to any board members who may have any questions. I see the first, Diane Collier, your question.
Actually, it's a question to Nina about the status of the woman that was killed in domestic violence. I understand that her body is still in the morgue because her husband is the only one that can release it. Is that a fact?
Yes, ma'am. And I grew up with Lisa. Her name is Lisa, and she's from East River, and I grew up with Lisa. And you are absolutely correct.
So to the board, I'm concerned about this because not only was she abused in life, but she's abused in death. No one is able to pick up her body. Her children are still grieving. So this is a big issue. And I think this would come out of Human Services, right, Xavier?
Yes, with that particular issue, with the request with Nina, we'll have to sit down because that'll be a multi-committee led effort.
Right.
I'm sorry. What I'm going to recommend is that we sit down immediately and schedule a call or a Zoom call to take up, because it was deeply troubling when that happened in Carver. And with the domestic violence that's impacted Lisa, and still to this day, I think that's something we should definitely continue to take up. And I appreciate you raising that, Diane.
Yeah, she's been in the morgue, I understand, for more than 3 weeks. And this is a law because her husband is the only one that can release her. They haven't been able to find him.
Okay. I appreciate you bringing that up, Diane, and I think we'll bring that both to the committee and Nina. We'll schedule a call with the office and our committee chairs that would be relevant to this, because I think it's very important that we lead the charge. Thank you for being in the space as always. Okay. Thank you. Our next speaker is, I believe, Beverly McFarland from Taft Houses Resident Association. I do not see her on.
She's with me. Let me go let her know so she can come out. We in another meeting. Let me tell her to come out. So
Yeah, I spoke to her briefly, and she said she may be able to make it in time. If she can, great. If not, that's fine. I'm going to move us to the next speaker, and then we'll come back to her. Katrina Pickering, Services for the Underserved. Okay, Katrina Pickering. Don't see.
Hi, yes, I'm here. I wanted to know, how do we get community officers or any kind of officers to patrol buildings? I am a program director for a housing program, and I am trying to figure out how to increase police to patrol the building. I live across the street from some projects, and we get a lot of the individuals, the youth coming in back and forth into my building. And I am a program that is trying to keep people sober, but the drugs are coming in. I'm trying to increase the police activity. Is there any way that I could try to get that kind of thing happening?
Okay, thank you. We can connect you with our Public Safety and Transportation Committee. We have our community affairs officers who are there from the 23rd, 25th, and PSA 5. And seeming that if you are seeing that overlap, that was brought up actually at the CCOP meeting about people coming into the buildings that work from there. And if that is affecting your committee, not your committee, your building, I think it's something we can sit down and discuss. So I would recommend we can set up a call and get you connected both with our Housing Committee and our Public Safety and Transportation Committee, and also connected with the NYPD to see what services they could offer as potential deterrents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have, as we wait to see if Beverly McFarland will be joining us, Adrian Mack from Miss Mack Enterprises.
Hi, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've seen a lot of you. Happy New Year to some of you. I'll be very quick. My name is Adrian Mack. My phone number is 646-553-0195. I own a consulting firm, and one of my clients, which is Coda Alliance. It's based in the more West Harlem area, which is 152nd Street and St. Nicholas Place. But I'm happy to share with you about what you see behind me here, the fabulous free financial literacy program that we're going to be offering for women. So you just have to be a person who identifies as a woman, 18 or older. And that's it. Just have the want and the want and need to learn about financial literacy. So we're actually going to be hosting a couple of different sessions. In this session that starts on February 2nd, this is for an entry level to intermediate level of knowledge. So we will be talking about generational wealth. And I'm glad that Diane brought up about the woman's body. This is because she most likely doesn't have a trust or will or some way to protect ourselves. And we actually will be talking about that as how do you protect yourself as a woman financially, and into unfortunate situations like this is like, how does someone, combat these type of challenges after we've passed away? We'll talk about banking, personal budgets, credit, how to build, grow, and correct credit. So this class is free. It's for 6 weeks, every Thursday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Coda Nest, which again is located in the west side of Harlem. The address is 43 St. Nicholas Place at 152nd Street. We'll have session 2 starting in March, a little later on in March, and that one is geared towards financial literacy for business women. So if you're interested in starting a business, or maybe you own a business already and you want to know what type of capital is accessible to you, even if you're a sole proprietor, there's different levels in funding. So we'll be talking about business credit, how to start it and grow it. And then also March 1st, we're launching a digital literacy program for seniors, for everyone. You can all join, but we really want to get a lot of seniors in there. And it's geared to teach them how to use social media for their businesses. We have a lot of upward mobile seniors who are still running companies and building businesses, and we want to help them connect to the world digitally. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much, everyone. So I did email a flyer. I'm not sure if Angel got it, but I can send it, and I'd love to get it out to all of you so you can share it with all of your residents and participants of any of your programs for the community at large. So again, it's free, anybody 18 and older, and anyone who identifies as a woman.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being in this space, Adrian. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Any questions from our board members? Rosa.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I wanted to ask if you offer classes for students and families, financial literacy.
Everybody 18 and older who identifies as a woman. So that could be a college student, that could be your grandmama, 18 to 90. Anybody 18 and older, just have to identify as a woman. That's it. So please
no
invite your mom, sisters, cousins, everybody. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry about that. So no students, like high school students then? No
We
elementary?
I'm not going to say no. We're not going to turn a 16, 15-year-old away. If they want to learn about financial literacy, absolutely. I'm just letting you know what the funding, we're funded by West Harlem Development Corporation. So they just, it was 18 and older, but hey, if there's a 16-year-old high school girl who wants to come and learn about financial literacy, absolutely. But I will share this with you. We are looking to get additional funding, and we do want to launch some teen or youth programming for girls. So hope to come soon. But I also just want to let you know that, yes, if there is some high school girls that would like to come and learn about financial literacy, we're not going to turn them away. So it is Thursday night, every Thursday night, starting February 2nd, from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great question, Rosa. One more, Shavasya.
Hi, yes, hello everyone. I just wanted to ask you, I know you said that there was a business one starting after this, but will it be the same thing, just for small businesses, or should I take this one and the business one?
I
in
recommend
addition?
to take both. I recommend to
Okay.
take both. The first one, that's why I said beginner to intermediate. I don't know about you, but I don't think we have anybody wealthy people on this call, right? And so I think we can all learn a little something about financial literacy. So yes, there might be some stuff that you probably heard of already and probably know already because we've been living our lives as adults for a while. But then you might learn some new things about credit that you didn't know about, or learn some things about, whole life insurance and things
No,
of
I
that sort
understand.
too.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be the same thing in the next one.
No, because this one,
So
the
that's
second
fine.
one will be definitely mostly about business, credit, how to get it, how to start it, how to grow it. And then also what
Okay.
levels of funding are accessible depending on where you are. So maybe if you're a sole proprietor, maybe you need a microloan. If you've been in business for a while and can show a certain amount of revenue in business, maybe you can get a business loan with a pretty decent interest rate. What's the difference between a credit union and a bank account with a regular bank for
Great
businesses? So
information, Adrian.
I see
Really
what
great
you're saying.
information.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
see what you
Lisa.
said. Could you just put your information in the chat, please?
my
Please.
my phone number and stuff like that.
Yep. She
Yes,
announced
so
it at the
that we know.
beginning. Yeah, she announced it at the beginning. So please put it in the chat. So that
I'll
way.
put in the chat. And then again,
you.
if anyone would like the flyer that's behind me and then all the other flyers that will be coming out about the other trainings, please feel free to email me. I'll put everything in there. Say, hey, Adrian, can you give me the flyer so I can share it with everyone? Happy to do it. I'm also happy to come and make a presentation at your organizations as well if you want to drum up some of the women to come.
Great. Thank you. We'll be in touch. I think EcoDev.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Anthony Brown from the New York County Democratic Committee.
Good evening, everyone. Angel, good evening. I actually wasn't prepared to speak tonight. I was just kind of observing, and maybe if I had questions about who was speaking, procedure, but you've already gone over that. So, we can move on to the next bit of business.
Well, welcome very much, Anthony. Glad to have you in this space and enjoy the meeting. Hope it's edifying. And thank you for being with us. So we'll move along to, and forgive if I mispronounce, Rabia Farhang from the Coda Alliance, or is this a follow-up to Adrian Max?
Hi, everybody. No, you've got the name right. Thank you for that very much. Good pronunciation. And I am also working, Adrian and I are colleagues. We both have Coda Alliance as a client. And I just wanted to introduce myself. It's my first time with this group. So hello, and I look forward to attending future meetings. And alongside with what Adrian presented, also wanted to share, because Coda is new to the community. We are about a year old with our physical space in the area. We also offer memberships for women in the community, various tiered memberships. It is on our website. I'll also add it here. I have a slide that I could add with all the information with different fees. But for events that beyond our free workshops that we'll be doing for the communities, we're also going to be having other events. We're going to have circles for entrepreneurs, groups that people can belong to and also gather as sort of community space, really for support and networking and various other things. So as we launch all of those, we wanted to inform the community about our membership plans, different tiers. We offer discounted rates for students and seniors. And then based on whether or not you're an individual or whether you're an entrepreneur or part of a nonprofit, we've got different tiered pricing that we could also offer you. We do offer space rental at our physical location. So you could rent our space for events, for meetings. We have conference rooms. We also have places for other types of events. We've had gatherings there. So a lot of different ways that you could use our space, and you're welcome to check us out. So that's all I wanted to share with everybody. Good to be part of this group.
Thank you for being with us. I have one question from Beverly Pavon. Beverly?
Yes, thank you, ladies, for the presentation. Can you please give us your location? You said you're new to this area. Can you please give us your location? Thank you.
Yes, well, I'm going to put it in the chat. It's 43 St. Nicholas Place. As Adrian said, at 152nd Street on the west side. And I'll put it in the chat right now.
I actually just put it in the chat.
Oh, thanks, Adrian.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you, Beverly. Angela Donato, question.
Is there a website?
There is, yes.
Can you also?
I'm going to do the same thing. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Could you give it to us for those that are dialed in? Because they can't see the chat.
Oh, sure. It's
The URL?
coda-alliance.org, www.coda-alliance.org.
I would spell it out. CODA's with a K. It's
Oh,
actually
KOTA.
KOTA-alliance.org.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry about
Thank
that.
you, because there is a CODA Alliance in California, and that's why I asked for the website, because I just checked. So
Okay.
thank you very much. It's KOTA.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great question, Angela. Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for both being in the space with us. Next up, we have Melissa McLeod from Harlem Grown, Inc.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa McLeod. I am the Director of Development and Communications at Harlem Grown. My colleague, Charles Marr, our Chief Operating Officer, is also joining me on this call. Just so you have my telephone information, it is 212-870-0113, extension 103. And my email is the same spelling as my first and last name, mmcleod@harlemgrown.org. And just to give you a brief overview of Harlem Grown, in case you haven't heard of us, we have 13 urban farms throughout Central Harlem. And we have a mobile teaching kitchen that's able to, it looks like a food truck, but everything comes off of the truck, and we're able to do interactive lessons within the community. We host a summer camp during our season from April to October. We have weekly Saturday programming. And we also partner with 8 schools and do programming inside of schools. So that's a very brief overview of us. And I really wanted to come today to speak about our Marcus Garvey Park Culture, Creativity, and Care Initiative, which we'll be launching this summer. So it's going to be a 2-year multifaceted activation of the Marcus Garvey Park, and we are being funded through the Mellon Foundation, who is supporting this initiative with us so that we could kind of enhance and amplify the culture and creativity in people's histories and stories throughout Harlem, especially people who have historically been there, and make sure that we preserve everyone's stories as we, there's commercial gentrification, residential gentrification. So this is kind of working to go back to the roots of the community. And we're having temporary artist installations throughout this, and we're going to have wellness pavilions. We're going to do visual and performing arts from Harlem Grown side. We're going to be doing the food programming and do it with our mobile teaching kitchen. So you'll be able to see it throughout the park this summer, and it's for everyone of all ages. And really it's focused on culture, liberal arts, and really getting everyone in community and having community care and enhancing how everyone's using the park throughout the year, and ensuring that we're kind of also amplifying underutilized spaces. So Charles is going to drop our press release that we put there, so you guys have it and can check out more information online. We also were recently featured yesterday in CBS News, so you'll see me chatting with my colleague, Ms. Asana, about this and telling a little bit more about the initiative. And for the programming, we are doing a request for proposals, especially for the visual arts and performing arts aspect of it. So that's also going to be included. If you click on the press link that Charles shares, you'll be able to see that. And as more information comes out, we will share the RFP, and anyone who signs up for the interest form on the press release will be able to share out more information with you as we go along in the process. So want to give you guys time to kind of ask questions, and I'm really happy that we were able to speak tonight.
All right. All right, we have a question from one of our board members, Rosa.
Hi, good evening. I am interested in learning more about the summer camp and also about programs inside the school.
Yeah, sure. So our summer camp is
We can't hear you, Melissa.
I think you muted yourself.
Yeah.
I think she had some trouble with her headphones, but if you
sorry,
go,
my headphones sometimes mute me. Um,
you can take
So
it
our
away.
summer camp, it's a 7-week intensive program. It typically happens right after 4th of July. July and August, we provide our kids with breakfast, lunch, and then also snacks throughout the day so they don't have to worry about food when they're with us. They have engaging classroom lessons at the Dempsey Center. That's where we're located, and also on our farms. So each week the kids go through a different cycle of programming, and we have different themes throughout the week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we take the kids out on trips to just teach them about different places that they can go within the boroughs, and then also just give them new experiences. And I know our programming team really loves to make sure we can take them places on the subway so they can always kind of repeat the experience with their family. They were really excited. They got to see a WNBA game this year and do free throws on it, and the kids like loved that event. But yeah, so our summer camp is free. It's for last year we did it for everyone that qualified. Their family made $50,000 or less. So we have a lot of reoccurring kids. It's about 70% of our kids are reoccurring every year. And it's one of our like crown jewel programs. Everyone really loves it.
That sounds like
And
great.
just for, I know you asked about the school programming too. So we go into schools at least once a week and do a couple of classes with our kids. And we typically for the past 5 years, we've had 5 school the past 11 years, we've had 5 school partnerships and just expanded to include the 8. So our staff, we have educators that will go in, do cooking lessons. We have hydroponics in some of the classrooms. So that's basically just like they're able to grow their own food in the classrooms, and the kids kind of take ownership of that as well. And some of our schools, for them, we have farms on them. So the kids take part in that, and we're able to also do lessons and engage with the kids outside. And also our mobile teaching kitchen will go there sometimes throughout to the time period, but we're also trying to shift that to get to more places in the community, and also attending more community events regularly with our mobile teaching kitchen.
Okay, that sounds great. So what I would recommend is definitely presenting to our youth and
I
education.
hope that helps. Did I answer all your questions?
Yeah. I would recommend.
Wait, now I can't hear anything.
Okay. Well,
I'm
I
so
would
sorry.
recommend.
I had the sound off the whole time.
Okay, well, I would recommend presenting to our Youth and Education Committee as well to update them, especially about the summer camp, as we're just in January now. Just to keep, I'm going to allow one more question because we got to keep the agenda moving along. So Natasha.
All right. Hello. I'm not sure if this was mentioned already, but what age group is the summer camp, and how many slots do you have?
Right now we have 50 slots, and our age group, it's elementary and middle school. So I want to say it ends about 13 or 14. And we also have counselors in training, so that gives an opportunity for kids to work once they're in high school. That's the high school age. We hire about 10 kids, and this year we're kind of increasing what we're paying them so it could better match summer youth program, and we'll be competitive in that. So we also do our internship and workforce development with the kids as well. So even if they've aged out of the traditional summer camp, they could join or apply to be a counselor in training as well, and work with our counselors and our programming staff throughout the summer.
Wonderful. It's great.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, very specific, and I appreciate that. Please reach out to the staff to present to Youth and Education in February. I'm sure they would love to hear from you if they can accommodate you in the calendar. Next up, we have Rosanna Perch. Rosanna, I didn't get which organization you were with, so if you have 3 minutes. You are muted.
Can everyone hear okay now?
Yes, we can hear you. You have your 3 minutes.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Rosanna Perch, and I am a teacher in the Bronx, but I am a member of an organization called IYF, International Youth Fellowship, and we have a curriculum called Mind Education. And Mind Education is all about instilling a not just positive, but healthy, grounded mindset in young people of all ages, but primarily like I would say K through 12, but it's been used, mind education has been used in a lot of institutions all around the world. And just to reiterate, the purpose of mind education is to instill a very grounded heart in people. In life, there are going to be lots of different problems that one can encounter, but it's not so much whether or not you have the strength to overcome the problem. It's do you have the connections necessary in your life? Do you have the right people to talk to? Do you know how to change your mind? Do you know how to receive feedback? Do you know how to share and open up so that you do gain the strength to overcome the problem? One of the failures that I notice in how we're working with kids as a DOE system is that everything is so focused on academic skills that we miss training kids' hearts. We miss teaching kids how to receive instruction from others, how to receive a new idea, how to put away what we once thought and accept something new, to get around a hurdle or a curve that we didn't see coming. So I was asked to speak a little bit about the Mind Education Workshop. In Dallas last month, several educators from around the country and around the world came together to discuss these matters of the heart. And oh, hey, Christy. Hi, Dr. De La Cruz. I don't know if you remember me, but these issues are so important, and we can't just focus on academics, but we really, really need to focus on how to train students deep in their heart to overcome the many challenges that they may be presented within life, and not just overcome, but to thrive. And mind education definitely examines these problems and teaches kids real world ways to get over them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a question from Beverly Pabon.
Yes, thank you, Roseanne, for that presentation. My question to you is, how long have you been practicing this mind education workshop program, and how do you quantify how well it's working within the communities that you're working in?
Okay, so I've used mind education. I participated in mind education as a mind education specialist, and also as a recipient, I would say, for the past just about 10 years. And you cannot necessarily see all the gains at once, but over time, you do see how the relationship fostered by mind education gives students, or gives young people, or gives people not just a mentor, but a new way of thinking. So quantify, I have some surveys that I've given to kids. I have some other ways of measuring, but let's put it this way. Thinking is a habit. It's hard to quantify thinking. And then it's even harder to quantify how thinking changes. But we have used surveys to kind of see how people have transferred from like the beginning of maybe a semester or a year worth of mind education to the end. But it's something you're seeing long term. Like some participants in mind education have, been able to maybe go to schools in the future, like colleges and universities, that they couldn't imagine going to earlier, because they received the right kind of input and were able to change their mind about who they thought they were and what successes they thought they could achieve. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, no, thank you, Roseanne, and thank you, Beverly, for that. I'm gonna field one more question here, but I got to keep the meeting moving along. And I would recommend any of your data and stats that you can send along to the office, please do, so our Youth and Education Committee could review it. Natasha.
Yeah, just reiterating what Xavier said, it would be nice if you could come was it present to our Youth and Education Committee? I'm just gonna ask one question right now.
Sure.
Is there like a specific like how are your staff being trained in this? Is this like a specific qualification that they need to have? Like
Some
what
of
is the
us-
background of your employees who are basically giving this mind education to?
So- Okay, good
the-
question. Some of us are employees, others like myself, we are volunteers. This is not our like only career, but in our line of work, we see the need to provide mind education or ourselves to have mind education and also deliver it to people around us. I have a certification that I received at a workshop. Others of us have been to other workshops. Other of us are people who deliver mind education to mind educators and also to folks that are incarcerated in various institutions all around the world. So there's not like people that necessarily have a mind education degree, but some of us do have a certification.
I'm saying degree wise, what is the background? Are some of your employees, do they have a psychology background, a social work
Oh, okay. I'm
background?
sorry.
Yeah.
So it's various. Like for example, my degree is in education. Other people have other people are like real estate agents and realtors. Other people may have law degrees. Other people have a counseling background. We are various. Some people have degrees in education administration. So it's a wide variety of people.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. Yeah,
I'm
once
gonna-
again, would appreciate it if you do present to Youth and Education, because I feel that we want to learn more about this because it's not necessarily something that we know about. So I would really appreciate it if you did come and present.
And that's Youth and Education. Okay, thank you. If we just put the link in the chat.
Thank you. I'm going to move the meeting along to.
Thanks so much.
Speaker. Marie Charles. I do not see Marie Charles, so we're going to go on to Pilar de Jesus. All That Jive NYC. You have your 3 minutes.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to do this in 3 minutes. I'm going to talk about 2 different things. First thing I wanted to just really encourage, and unfortunately they could not be here today, but Cannabis Workforce Initiative is hosting a 10-week workshop program, which is a free pre-employment training program to learn about the cannabis industry, job opportunities, and workers' rights of working in the industry. And this is all free, and it begins tomorrow. And it's going to be every Wednesday from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. at the same time, every Wednesday, starting tomorrow, the 25th. And it goes on until March 22nd. And it's a 10-week certificate course, again, free program. And Cannabis Workforce Initiative is a collaboration. They are working with Cornell University and with the state WDI, Workforce Development Initiative, I believe that's their acronym. So I just wanted to make sure I share that. I will put the link in the chat along with my information if you have other questions. Also, thank you, CB11, for I saw you have some comments that you're going to submit to the Office of Cannabis Management. The board have open commenting period. It's a commenting period open for the regulations on the industry, and I encourage everyone, including everyone outside the board, if you haven't already, check it out, reach out to me. I can give you some pointers of some concerns us advocates have around it. There is some workshops that we'll be working with the city very last minute.
Looks like we lost Pilar there. Not sure. We will, Kelly, just reset the timer. We have 1 minute left. Let's see if she got knocked off and comes back. I will keep the meeting moving along, and then we'll just circle back to her to finish up her comments. I'm going to call again for Marie Charles. Not seeing Marie. Oh, it looks like we got Pilar back. Pilar,
Sorry about that. So yeah, really
okay,
quickly to end.
you got about a minute left, okay?
Yeah, so just to all encourage comments, and I'll put all that in the chat. But also I just on a different outside of cannabis note, but this is intersected housing. We do have the ERAP applications have closed, so no one can no longer apply for ERAP. And that's a big deal for us housing advocates, especially for NYCHA residents. There are about 400, I think it's $454 million needed for about 70,000 plus households, that NYCHA households. So there's a lot of unpaid rent. And so this could mean a lot of harmful things coming to the NYCHA community. And I've heard for a lot of, more police enforcement, but I think we need to think about ways of getting folks money to pay their rent, because the only agency at the moment is HRA for a one-shot deal, and that's technically a loan. And you have to have future ability to pay, so AKA a job. And I'll end there.
Thank you very much, Pilar. It's always good to have you in this space and appreciate your passion and engagement with us. Don't see any board members with their hands raised. So thank you for being with us, and we'll see you at the next gathering. I'm going to move along to Christine Zayas. Christine. Okay. Don't see her in the panelist section. Diana Barros. Diana. See her in the panelist
I'm
section.
sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Okay, welcome. You have your 3 minutes.
Okay, I've been asked to read a statement about some concerns about the Lantern organization from the Harlem East Block Association. There's a concern in the Block Association of current tenants in the buildings of the Lantern org and the surrounding community members about the management of the drug situation in the buildings and around the buildings. The two buildings are Prospero Hall at 111 East 118th Street and Schaefer Hall at 117 East 118th Street. The residents in Prospero Hall have complained about rampant drug use and drug dealing inside the building that has been ignored by the organization, the building manager, and the provider of the social service for the two buildings. Residents say that they've repeatedly complained of high number of overdose incidences, unattended needles in public areas, such as the public garden and trash chutes, frequent drug-induced disruptions in the hallway throughout day and night. They also witnessed tenants of the building, some tenants in the building that are dealing drugs in the vicinity of the building and in the building. In addition, they complained of fearful security guards who allow this to continue and allow them to enter the building and afraid to file incident reports. They complain of rapid staff turnover, a poorly paid staff, and a management team that has been unresponsive to the tenants directly. They say that they've been reluctant to cooperate with police investigations and failed to remove the criminal elements among the residents, by, I don't know, eviction or some other means. The reason, an additional reason the community members and Block Association are concerned is that they recently found out that Lantern Org is going to be managing Timbale Terrace that is slotted to come into the area, Park Avenue in this vicinity, not far from there. And that building will have 99 supportive housing units for people with mental health issues, which, you know, we worry are often associated with drug issues. So we wanted to express that concern that maybe that should be looked at. It should be reviewed, what's going on and what's being done about it.
Thank you for submitting this testimony. If you would be so kind as to forward the remaining statement, and we'll see, and we'll take it under consideration to which committee this should be addressed.
Oh, okay. I submitted it in writing.
Okay,
I
great.
submitted a statement.
Okay,
Thank
then
you.
I thank you. We'll address that. Thank you. And there are no
Okay, thank
questions,
you.
from the board members. I'm going to keep us moving along. Thank you for being in this space, Diane. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Kate Madigan from the Public Theater. Kate, you got your 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. Happy Lunar New Year to everybody. My name is Kate Madigan from the Public Theater. Right in Central Park, we have the Delacorte Theater. It's a little bit of a walk, but we just announced that this summer our show is going to be Hamlet, and it's a free theater for anyone who wants to participate. You can either stand in line at the park, or we'll have district ticket giveaways, so you don't have to go around the city just to try to get a ticket, and I'll make sure everybody has the information. And that'll be up and running June 6th to August 8th. So we have a good couple weeks in the summer. Usually rain or shine. If it's a light rain, we'll still proceed with the show. We just finished updating the Delacorte Theater in Central Park to accommodate all abilities and body types. And we can continue with our phase 2 coming up right after the season ends this year. So we're excited to see everybody from our neighborhood, all neighborhoods bordering Central Park and the rest of the city. And our shows downtown start in mid-February. I'll leave the information in the chat box. But yep, happy to be here. Thank you so much for your time and have a good one. I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Great. Rosa, you have your hand raised, your question.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to ask if you provide tickets to school in bulk.
Oh, that's a good question. Because it's the summer, we don't have relationships with the schools, but we do with the local libraries. So I can get into contact with the board and see if we can set aside, you know, any groups of tickets for school age children activities who visit the local library.
Great. That's a great question, Rosa.
Hey, Xavier, can I just add something? Because I work with Children's Aid and I work in a school. And in the schools, we run summer rising programs in the summer, which are educationally based and combined summer camp. So we could still maybe connect with the schools in the district and maybe look at that through the summer rising program, because it is a collaboration of DOE and CBOs working together, where the kids are in school in the morning and then go on activities in the afternoon. So we would definitely love to explore. I'm also the chair of the Youth and Education Committee with my vice chair, Natasha. So we're putting in bids for our youth in this community. So please, let's find a way to make that happen. Sorry, Xavier, thank you.
No, it's fine. It sounds like you're driving. So yeah, get there safely. I'll have time for one more question. Michelle Wiltshire-Clement.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I wanted to find out, you said Hamlet was the play that was for this summer. Usually there's 2 different plays. I was curious, what is the following play as well?
Good question. We're only presenting one play because of the renovations that we have to start before the fall and winter come. So we're doing an extra long show run of Hamlet, and then I will be back with more announcements about following year's presentations. But yes, and thank you again for bringing up the after school programs and summer programs, because I'm in charge of community engagement and I would love to help the kids come to a show. And you know, sometimes that just sticks with you forever if you see a show in Central Park in the summertime. It's a fun memory. I'll be in contact.
I have a follow-up. Do you have any like internships or ways of getting more involved for our youth?
We don't have internships, but we are hiring in the future an internship coordinator. So I will just put my information and we'll be in touch in the chat.
That's a
you.
great question, Michelle. And yes, please, let's get you connected to Youth and Education. Dr. Christy De La Cruz is attending right now. She's our District 4 superintendent. Really good people to know. Thank you for being with us. And this above all, to thine own self be true. And if you didn't know, that was a quote from Hamlet. Sorry, love Shakespeare. All right, moving on. I'm going to call out Christine Zayas one last time. Christine Zayas, I do not see you here, so we are going to move the agenda along. We've had a lot of pre-registered speakers. It's great to have so many in this space, but we're going to move on to our local elected officials. If you have not already signed up to speak, we ask that elected officials or their representatives please alert our staff in the chat if they wish to give a report. We ask that event service literature be sent to our office so that we may post it and share it as is appropriate. Please keep your report to 3 minutes and to be mindful not to repeat what others have already mentioned. Again, great rule of thumb, 2 minutes for your presentation and a minute for questions. Have any elected officials or their reps signed up to speak? Angel? I only have a couple right.
And cut money with Assemblymember Gibbs's office.
Okay, man, you got your 3 minutes. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me here, Xavier, and all of Community Board 11. So just to start, Assemblymember Gibbs has been working hard. He's been in legislative session starting the first week of January. He's been assigned the following committees: Aging, Corrections, Mental Health, Science and Technology, Tourism, Parks, Arts and Sports Development, and the Education Committee. He's also a member of the Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, Asian Caucus. And just to let you know, the caucus will be holding its annual Legislative Caucus Conference, or more simply put, Caucus Weekend, February 16th through the 19th in Albany. We will be hosting a workshop entitled Challenges of Re-Entry. The workshop will be on that Saturday, February 18th. The time of the workshop is to be determined. So make sure you watch out in Assemblymember Gibbs' social media for information about the workshop. And we're also very excited and pleased to say that Lala Anthony is going to be a panelist in our workshop. She's done a lot of work in the criminal justice area and reached out to a lot of formerly incarcerated people in New York City. So please just watch our socials to get more information about our workshop in Albany for Caucus Weekend, February 18th. As I spoke about last month, we are still working on the renaming initiative. We have begun an initiative to rename NYCHA developments, Woodrow Wilson and Thomas Jefferson houses, and also we'd like to rename Thomas Jefferson Park. We're working closely with NYCHA residents and tenant associations. We have an essay contest that we're working with District 4 students, grades 5 through 8, to submit essays of who they would like to rename Thomas Jefferson Park after. And for upcoming events in our office, we are holding a Black History Month celebration and also a swearing in ceremony for the Assembly member on February 16th from 5 to 8 at the Johnson Center, Community Center located at 1833 Lexington Avenue. And just lastly, if you are a member of the community and you have an issue, please reach out to our office. You can call us at 212-828-3953, or you can email the Assembly member directly at gibbs@nyassembly.gov.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And thank you. Jessica, you had a question.
Hi, thank you so much for your report. I just wanted to make a quick note that PS 108 is also interested in renaming Peter Minuet Playground.
Okay.
So just wanted to put that on your radar. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. thank you very much for being in the space, and Happy New Year to you. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next, we're gonna go to Marissa Yanni from DSNY.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Marissa Yanni. I'm the Manhattan Community Affairs Liaison from the Department of Sanitation. Just a quick announcement for everyone. Starting April 1st, the set out time for your waste collection is changing. So currently you could start to put out your waste, whether it's garbage or recycling for curbside collection starting at 4 p.m. That is changing to 8 p.m. If you do, this goes for residents and commercial businesses as well. If you place your material in a container with a lid, you can put it out starting at 6 p.m. And for businesses, if they put it out with a lid, they can put it out an hour before their business closes. For any buildings that you know of, or if you live in one, that have 9 or more units, which is probably most of Manhattan, you could enroll in a program where you can place your garbage out between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. the day of your collection. Still just DSNY wants to minimize the amount of time that bagged garbage or garbage in containers is curbside. Please let me know if anyone has any questions. Thank you for letting me speak today.
Okay, are there, Jessica, you had a question?
Thank you, Marissa. Just a quick follow-up on our conversation from the Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee meeting. I'm wondering if you have an update on the tour for community board for the temporary site DSNY garage.
No, I don't. We recently had a meeting with the council member and Angel was there as well. That request was made again. I am still waiting for senior staff to give me further instruction or for the date, essentially.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Isaac Scott and then Beverly Pavone.
Just wondering, is that the same for faith-based institutions too, like churches?
Yes,
Okay.
it's for everybody. Yes.
All right, Beverly.
Yes, and my question was regarding, can you just put in the chat or repeat the information regarding the program that you have that if you enroll in, you can put it out, your garbage out earlier or the day of the collection?
Correct. If you are in a, yes, I'll put it in the chat. No use repeating it. Yes, I'll put it in the chat with my email address in case you know of any specific buildings that you would like us to reach out to make sure that we don't miss.
I think it would be helpful to put it in very succinct terms for the rollout date and making sure people have an ample runway to adjust, because a lot of the part-time supers and porters that are for the smaller buildings, they have a set schedule so they can make their rounds. So I'm going to go to a handful more questions. Just 2 more, Nilsa and then Candy, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Xavier. You touched on my question. I run a multi-service center for HRA, both in the Bronx and in Manhattan locations. And our staff comes in at 7:30 in the morning and leaves at 6. So how would that, so we can put out the garbage, are you saying at 8 o'clock, but we have no staff at that time? This is an HRA building.
If you put the garbage out in containers with lids, you can put it out at 6 p.m. You are a city building, so I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you could just email me so I can send you over to our institution team, just to double check what it is for other city agency buildings.
Okay,
It's
yes, and
supposed
I'll
to be
have
the
the
same, but
okay, and I'll have the HRA commissioner and that reach out to you as well. Okay, thank you so much for that information.
Okay.
Okay, Candy.
Yeah, similar to what Nilsa was saying, but in this case it's in residential. Are you going to be sending out any notices over to all the developments, the people that have housing or running a building to let them know about these changes?
Yeah, this is just the first touch that we're doing. We're doing mailers to everybody as well as paid ads.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Marissa. I'd recommend just sending a 1 sheet of information that we can also distribute and post. So that way we can get it out into the community, because a lot of the smaller buildings, a lot of the, townhomes that are split up into apartments, they may not, these are examples of people who are our HDFCs are another, as well as our NYCHA developments and whatnot. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving along, we have Maggie McDermott from Councilmember Deputy Speaker Ayala. Maggie, you got your 3 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Xavier. Hi, everybody. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone. Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala hopes that everybody enjoyed their Three Kings Day, the Lunar New Year, and the day in commemoration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I want to jump right into some budget season information that's important. Important dates to be mindful of are February 21st. That is the deadline to submit expense application for fiscal year 24. February 23rd is the deadline to submit capital application if your organization is also requesting funding from the Borough President's Office. March 23rd is the deadline to submit capital funding if your organization is only requesting from the City Council. Our office has created a supplemental budget application. We can forward that to you if you would like it. Please note that the Department of Education schools have a separate Google form for Reso A applications. DOE schools can also reach out to us. Charter schools must submit the CAP grants portal for budget request meetings. Please contact the Deputy Speaker Scheduler. Her name is Jessica Nunez. Her email address is jnunez@council.nyc.gov. I can pop it in the chat. Also note, if you are looking to request funding from our office, we will be holding meetings towards the end of February and will prioritize groups that the member has not already met with in previous budgeting cycles. For any other budget inquiries, you can contact our budget director. Her name is Stephanie Herrera at sherrera@council.nyc.gov. I will pop as much information into the chat box as possible. But that completes my debriefing. We wanted to keep it for funding. Did I do well?
Brilliant job, Maggie. Brilliant. Thank you. Any questions from our board members? Okay. Wonderful. Our regards to the entire office and the
Thank
member.
you all. Everybody take care. Thank you.
too.
Be-
Next up is Marco Perez from District Attorney of New York, Alvin Bragg.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year. Apologies, I'm having camera issues. I was just in another meeting and I just got home from transit. Want to first off by saying Happy New Year to everybody. I do have a couple of announcements. The last time I was here, Angela had asked a question in regards to shootings being down in Manhattan and wanted to know if there was specific data for East Harlem. I promised I'd bring that information back to the full board meeting, and I have it here. In 2022, we did have a decrease in homicides and shootings. Within the 23rd precinct, in 2022, we had 4 homicides, and in 2021, we had 8. Shooting incidents are shooting incidents where someone was struck with a bullet. In 2022, we had 19. In 2021, we had 34. Within the 25th precinct, homicides in 2022, there were 9. Homicides in 2021, there were 16. Shooting incidents within the 2-5 precinct in 2022, we had 31. In 2021, we had 27. In Petro Borough, Manhattan North, homicides in 2022, we had 43. In 2021, we had 67. Shooting incidences from Petro Borough, Manhattan North, we had 168 in 2022 and 227 in 2021. Lastly but not least, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has announced a partnership with the CUNY Institute for State and Local Governance to announce a $9 million mental health initiative to immediately reach New Yorkers with deeply entrenched needs. The initiative aims to meet people where they are and provide comprehensive wraparound community support services, such as including housing, assistance, and treatment for mental illness and substance abuse disorders. This is a $9 million RFP process. $6 million would be allocated toward neighborhood navigators. These are professionally trained individuals who would work directly with unhoused individuals who may suffer from mental health challenges and or substance abuse issues. Then we have $3 million out of the $9 million for court-based navigators in all criminal court arraignment parts. These are professionally trained individuals that will serve similar high needs populations as the neighborhood navigators, but have additional focus on individuals who have history of recidivism within the criminal justice system. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is providing these awards through the Criminal Justice Investment Initiative, which was created with millions of dollars seized from major banks in the course of criminal investigations and administered by the CUNY Institute for State and Local Governance. I conclude my report and I open the floor to any questions. Thank you.
Okay, quick questions from Candy. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, hi. Can you put that on the chat or something? Because I would like to have that information on hand.
Which information?
Everything you gave on the initiatives that you have going on. And where can you get that? Is it just on the website of the district attorneys, or is it, where can we also have that accessible?
Great. So I could put the end of year report in an email for you, but in the chat right now, I can give you the press release for the $9 million RFP.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good question, Candy. Thank you. And we'll get that distributed as well. All right. Moving on. I see it. That's it. I'm going to ask our two other elected members. Our borough president is here and is in between meetings. If he could just step in and we'll go out of order and just let him give his quick report and then he will be off. So if you don't mind, I'm going to allow him to go next. And then we have two more elected reps. Borough President Mark Levine.
Thank you so much, Chair Santiago. It's great to see all of you on CB11. For some of you, it's my first time seeing you in 2023. Happy New Year. Got to see a lot of you at the Three Kings Day Parade. And I got to see some of you last week at an incredibly exciting announcement for East Harlem. My office joined with Uptown Grand Central in applying for a $10 million grant for East Harlem through a program run by the state. It's called the Downtown Reinvestment Initiative. And we learned last week, Governor Hochul came herself to announce that we have been awarded this grant. This is going to be $10 million for investment in East Harlem to support economic resiliency, improvements in public space, support for business, small business, culturals, et cetera. It's an incredibly exciting opportunity. And what is special about it is that we have a community-driven process for deciding which projects to invest in. And I know this because my office just led a process for a similar allocation in Chinatown. And they selected great projects, improving park space, improving street space, lighting, signage, a small business fund to help pay for facade improvements and much more. And those are the kind of things that the community could do here. So we're going to be putting together a committee of local leaders. We're going to make sure that we engage directly with CB11 around the process, but great news and very exciting. Next, I want to tell you that we are fighting hard for composting to expand it in CB11 and borough-wide. We're way behind on this. Actually, we took a step backwards in the pandemic, and we have called for composting pickup at every building in Manhattan. This is being done in Queens. It's already diverted millions of pounds of organics from landfills in Queens. We want to do it in Manhattan. We want it to be an option for every building in CB11 and beyond, and are really optimistic we're going to win this one. I'm fingers crossed. I'm hopeful we'll have good news in the days and weeks ahead. Stay tuned on that. I think it'll be a great benefit for CB11 and our entire borough. Very briefly, we announced our plan for creation of a waterfront protection agency. This would solve the problem of the fact that there are 11 city agencies that have jurisdiction over waterfront resiliency projects. East Harlem, I'm sorry to say, as I'm sure you're well aware, is in the floodplain. East Harlem is vulnerable to flooding and needs to be part of the conversation of creating resiliency on the coastline. And that's why we, in part, want this new agency. And I want to engage Community Board 11 on this. So I'd like to suggest, Mr. Chair, what committee has jurisdiction over waterfront issues? Would that be Parks?
Space and Parks.
What's that?
Environment, open space and parks.
Okay, so perhaps we can have that committee or leadership meet with, we have in-house experts here. We'd love to talk to you about the legislation we're crafting to get your input, et cetera. Finally, very quick, we're taking applications for capital grants right now, open to until February 23rd. If you've got an idea for funding for a park, a cultural institution, a school, a library, et cetera, we would like to know and would like to get those applications. So come our way. And lastly, a week from tonight on Tuesday, January 31st at 6 p.m., I'm going to be holding my first ever State of the Borough address. We're doing it uptown. It's on the other side of uptown at City College. We'd love for all of you to come if you can. We're going to be making a lot of exciting announcements. It's going to be fun. Again, that's a week from tonight at 6 p.m. So come if you can. That's it from me, Mr. Chair. I'll pass it back to you. If there's any questions, happy to take. If you need to move on in the agenda, that's great too.
Well, I appreciate you carving out some time for us, despite having the multitude of meetings. So Beverly has a question, and then Eugene and Michelle will make these succinct. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Borough President Levine, and Happy New Year again. And my question is regarding the compost that you wanted to be picked up from all the buildings. How would that, or would that be in sync with the new garbage pickup rules that's coming in April? Because, you know, what time you have to pick it up, would that be, you know, joined together as to what days that the compost is picked up?
Excellent question, Beverly. Yes, this is done by the Department of Sanitation. So it would be part of the regular routes and would adhere to the same timetable. I want to mention, if any of you notice these bright orange boxes that are emerging on some sidewalks, this has been kind of a quiet rollout, but these are composting receptacles. And, you know, in the past when they've tried this, a lot of regular trash ended up in it. So to make it a little bit, to work a little bit more efficiently, they do require you have an app to open it. But they've been really popular and really successful. In fact, probably the biggest complaint I get is that they're filling up too quick. So look for these orange boxes. Now that I mention them, you're going to see them. That's not a substitute for building pickup, but I am mentioning it as a great new addition to the landscape.
Okay, thank you. Eugene.
Thank you, Chairman Santiago, for recognizing me. Borough President, would you be interested in participating in a task force to discuss creating a theater district in East Harlem?
Absolutely.
We will be in touch.
Great. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you, Eugene. And one last, Michelle Wiltshire Clement, and then last one to Angela Donadell.
Eugenia, and I would also like to be part of that task force for the theater district. However, I wanted to mention exactly what you said about the orange receptacles. Is there another way, instead of having an app, since that is not always the easiest way for older individuals
Yes,
that
that's a
may
good
not
point.
have that ability or that tech know-how? Is there another way to make those, I think, a really good dual system of composting besides pickup part of the neighborhood know-how?
It's a good point, Michelle. I also had a little bit of a concern about access, given technology divide and seniors have challenges. I will talk to sanitation about that. I think once we can get building pickup, it will help a lot of seniors because they'll be able to do it, you know, just the way they put their trash and recycling into the bins in their building. So, but I'll take your feedback to the Department of Sanitation about senior access for the orange bins. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Last question, Angela.
Good evening, Borough President. My question is extremely simple. Will literature also be distributed so people know what goes in the compost bins and what doesn't go in the compost bins? Because you do want it to be correct.
I apologize, Angela, I just got distracted for 1 second. You mean, what are the guidelines for getting putting the right things in the
Right.
composting?
They
Yeah.
should put out the information. People should
I
know.
totally agree. There is confusion because New York has kind of gotten out of practice with composting because it was canceled in the pandemic. We need a re-education process for me too, honestly. So I would like to work with the board on that and figure out a way to do some education about what goes in what bin, what goes in recycling for paper, what goes in recycling for plastics, what goes in recycling for glass, what we do composting, and what's regular old trash. So let's work together on some education on that. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And thank you, Borough President Levine, for being with us in this space. And we'll see you at the next event, hopefully for your State of the Borough address.
All right.
Thank
you,
Be
guys.
well. Thanks.
Bye-bye now.
Okay, next up, we have either Rebecca Cruz or Jazz Reed from Councilmember Jordan's office. I don't know who's going to speak. So Rebecca.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening.
Great. You have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. My name is Rebecca Cruz. I'm with Constituent Services / Outreach. Thank you, everyone, for having us. Well, just a little about our services. We provide legal aid, connection, advocacy to programs and social services in District 9. This upcoming week, we will be doing door knocking and voter registration in Keens Towers, Fred Samuel and Jackie Robinson. Anyone who needs further assistance can reach out to our constituents director, which is Jazz Reed. And that is 646-960-1344. Or you can email us at jareed@council.nyc.gov. Lastly, we would like to invite everyone to our town hall meeting every second Monday of the month. This week's meeting, we will be talking about affordable housing in our district, what AMI is, and we'll provide info that is crucial to our community's development. And that's all.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. Candy, you have a question?
Yes, thank you and welcome, Ms. Cruz. It's the first time I see a representative from Ms. Jordan's office, and I'd like to know where your office is located. And also, is she participating in the budget participation as well for constituents within her district?
Yes, in regards to the question, if anything, you can give us a call and we can answer like the detailed questions. And in regards to her location, we located on 163 West 118th Street, Lenox Avenue. Now just let me confirm.
And then what is the number?
163 Lenox Avenue. And the number is 646-960-1344.
Okay.
You got the address?
Yeah, thank you and welcome on board. We hope to see you participate more at the community board meetings and with the community as well. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here in the space with us. I don't see any more hands, and if you please relay to the council member, I'm still waiting on a reply on our meeting. So appreciate that, and we look forward to advocating on the shared portions of the district.
Thank you.
Next, we have from Senator Serrano's office, Sophie Sikora. Sophie.
Hey everyone, Sophie here from Senator Serrano's office. Just a few updates. The 2023 New York State Senate session has begun. So it's been really busy and the senator is so excited. We do have new district lines. So now he's going to be advocating in Albany for the South Bronx, Highbridge, Hunts Point, Classen Point, Randall's Island, East Harlem, and Yorkville. The senator recently joined many of his Senate colleagues on a class size reduction task force letter led by Senator Robert Jackson, urging the Department of Education to develop and implement a plan to reduce class sizes pursuant to a new law enacted this year, as well as record state investment in public education. We have offset constituent hours coming up on January 26th. If you want more information, feel free to reach out to me. I will drop my information in the chat and thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us. And do we have any questions from our board members? I have two, Candy and then Eugene. Candy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like I was asking also Ms. Jordan's representative, Ms. Cruz. So I heard that Serrano's office is somewhere located in East Harlem. You think you can drop that on the chat and let everyone know exactly where you're located? And also what lines is it within East Harlem that he's representing as well?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Candy. Eugene?
Thank you very much, Chairman Santiago. Hold on a second. I have two questions. One is Serrano still the chair of the Arts Committee in the Senate?
Yes, he is. And also Parks and Recreation.
Then second question is, will he be willing to participate in a discussion on creating a theater district in El Barrio?
Yeah, just shoot me an email. I'll drop it in the chat and, you know, I'll reach out to you and we can set up a meeting.
That works for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, wonderful. That concludes our questions from board members. Thank you so much for being in the space with us. And we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Great. Eugene, if you wouldn't mind muting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, that concludes our elected officials and our borough president's report. Going to move the agenda along. Thank you for your patience, everyone. January is usually a very much a chock-a-block first meeting of the year, and I'm really glad to see the public's participation. So thank you for your patience. We're now going to move into the business session of the evening. The minutes from the last full board were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. If there are no objections, we will adopt the minutes from that meeting. Board members, if you wish to object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no hands, the minutes are adopted. Also, as a quick reminder to our members of the public, this is where board business is conducted. And so this will be questions from the public are not typically entertained during this period of time. However, we encourage you to attend our committee meetings where there's opportunity to delve into further detail with our subject matter. We'll now move on to the chair's report. Happy New Year. As I said at the opening of the meeting, I hope the holiday was restorative for all of you. And for many of us, it was short, especially the way the school calendar fell. And again, I'm not going to read in everything in my chair report. I just wanted to encourage everyone. We had a very successful 2022. And I think we have the opportunity to even increase our capacity to accomplish great good for the community. And I just want to encourage everyone, two things. One, please lean into your conversations at committee, be willing to have what we'd say the sticky conversations and just really delve into policy and learn from one another's lived experience. We've been doing a great job at that, continue to do that. I think we'll find very tenable solutions to many of the problems facing our community. But we have to be able to lean in and respectfully just have those in-depth policy conversations. We're all members of this community and we all care. So I just encourage you to keep doing that. And the second bit is that I will continue to always be accessible to all of you. I look forward to just chatting, whether you want to grab me on the phone, shoot a text, grab a coffee, any of it. I'm available to all of you. So that's one of the things I just want to remind everyone here. So before, oh, sorry, we skipped ahead. I will circle back to that. Sorry, everyone. The screen just backed. We're still in our, thank you, everyone. I apologize. We still have our public hearing in the mayor's fiscal year 2024 preliminary budget. Apologies for that. I missed that here in the agenda, and that is my fault. So just give me a moment. I disclosed. Thank you. So we have what's called our public hearing. Apologies, everyone. We had our budget released recently. We have a 30-day window to respond. Usually we would be having this for public comment during February, but because of when they released it, they have 30 days, and I believe that will fall on the 18th of February. And unfortunately, we have full board a couple days after that, and the office and the mayor's office and everyone has said that's fine to get it to them after that deadline by a few days, but it does mean we bump up when we would have our typical public commentary. It was posted on our website with the links, and I'd like to open up to any members of the public who wish to give testimony. So. Okay, please raise your hand as a member of the public. Okay, seeing no hands, we will now conclude the public hearing portion. Any written testimony may be submitted to mn11@cb.nyc.gov until January 31st. So that's through next week. So our committees may take it under consideration how we respond. So again, that's mn11@cb.nyc.gov. Okay, thank you. Move to the next slide. Okay. All right, back to the, we've already adopted the minutes, back to the chair's report. Again, my apologies, where things were pulled up on my windows here. 2 seconds. Here we go. Yeah, so again, just want to encourage everyone to lean in. I'm accessible. I want to make sure that we continue to get a lot of work done this year on a quarterly basis and setting your benchmarks. And I just want to encourage you all to reach out to one another. Been doing a great job with cross-committee collaboration and different projects. And even though COVID is still there, we are slowly emerging, and I'm really thankful to everyone who's been out during the past year, and a multitude of events, and just showing up and seeing, just being present. And I want to say thank you to all of you, and let's keep doing that work. The rest of this, for the most part, is for information purposes only. I do want to call attention to a handful of items here, and that beyond the Three Kings Day celebration, which was so much fun to be together with everyone. A big shout out to a lot of our members who came and attended, and those that are participating in supporting our youth. But I want to mention UMass, the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. We had our monthly meeting that dealt with the audit, and there was a question asking why were there so many microloans allocated to our community. And the fact of the matter is that those microloans were a lifeline to many of our businesses, which again, proving the point of why UMass is integral to the success of our small mom and pop businesses here. And I just want to say that continue referring those opportunities for those local businesses here in the community to UMass, because they have many opportunities for either microloans or grants. The next thing I wanted to cover is attending with Chris Alexander, and I appreciate Pilar de Jesus putting this together with the meeting with the Office of Cannabis Management, Stephanie Arroyo, Adam Brija, Judith Fabero, Giselle Malave, Isaac Scott, Candy Vivas Vasquez, and our own Assistant District Manager, Khalid Nixon. We have been struggling, as with many boards, to have a meeting, and with the Office of Cannabis Management, we were finally able to get that, and this has informed our response at Executive Committee, which we'll be voting on later with 2 items. They do want to engage, they do want to make the program and rollout successful. So it's important for us to get this commentary across to them during the before the conclusion of the time period. And yep, Borough President said it best, but we were there along with several of our board members who attended when we were awarded the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Really appreciate Uptown Grand Central, Diane Collar, Carrie King, and so many others. We, looking at that application, and for this board pivoting so quickly to get out a letter of support on the application as well. So thank you. That will hopefully be a spark to initiate a great economic revitalization for our proportion of the district. And with that, I will conclude my report. The rest of it is information purposes only. Thank you. And now on to our district manager's report. Angel?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Wanted to share a couple of notes from my report. On January 9th, I had the opportunity for a brief meeting with Manhattan Borough Commissioner for the Department of Transportation, Edward Pinkar, and the new Community Board Liaison, Rafael Escano. And we had an opportunity to discuss a number of DOT-related issues and projects in our district. One of them is the planned removal of the 128th Street pedestrian bridge. That's the bridge that leads over to Harlem River Park, the football field there. The project will demolish the existing bridge together with all appurtenances, I can't pronounce that word, due to the observed deteriorating structural conditions and to improve the safety of pedestrians and vehicular traffic in the vicinity. The project will improve the street, geometric layout, adjacent sidewalks, existing bike path, landscaping, street lighting, traffic signal, and general aesthetics within the project limits. This project is currently scheduled for bids in fiscal year 2026, with construction targeted to commence in the summer of 2025. We've been providing periodic updates on this project since we first heard about it from DOT a few years ago through our Public Safety and Transportation Committee, and will continue to do so. On 18th, Xavier and I met with representatives of the MTA regarding the proposed expanded transit easement on Lexington Avenue between 124th and 125th Street. This has to do with the second phase of the Second Avenue subway. The MTA and the property owner, Extel Development, reached an agreement on the new easement. This project was then presented to the executive committee on the 19th. The transit easement will require a joint certification by the MTA and City Planning Commission. You'll be hearing a recommendation from the executive committee related to this project later on in the agenda. Thirdly, to facilitate the board's review of the mayor's preliminary budget for fiscal year 2024 and to help us prepare a written response, a number of our meetings have been rescheduled in order to meet the 30-day deadline that we're granted to submit community board comment. First is our Economic Development and Culture Committee meeting has been rescheduled for February 15th. I just noticed right now that in my notes it's incorrect. It says January, but it's February 15th. Secondly, the District Needs and Budget Committee has been rescheduled to February 16th, and the full board meeting rescheduled to February 21st. And then lastly, reminding you all again, board members, well, before I do that, the reminder to everyone that the board office will be closed on February 20th in observation of President's Day. And now lastly, reminding board members again that the 2023 community board application for Manhattan is open through the close of business on March 17th. Current members who wish to serve another term are required to reapply. In my written report, I've listed out the names of those members whose terms are set to expire this year. And you again, if you wish to continue serving, you're required to reapply. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Angel. Eugene, you had a question.
Yeah, I really had a question for you, Chairman. Did you see the article in Daily News about the drug distribution place on 126?
I've seen a lot of articles in relation to the OPC in our neighborhood. I think the Daily News has done a couple, so it depends on which one.
They had one yesterday. It was 2 pages talking about how we had a problem with that center. And I think you should write a letter to clarify it. It's not that we don't want them there, it's that there's too many of them in the community.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Would you please text me or send me a link on the email?
I'll see
Yeah.
what I can do.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Okay. Are there any questions for the district manager? Okay, seeing the none, officer reports to our vice chair. Yes, Beverly?
Yeah, sorry, I just couldn't get my hand up quick enough. I just want to know, has there been anything said about an expansion to us having Zoom meetings, or is that on a different
Hi, ¿qué tú haces?
of the
Rebecca, please mute yourself. Thank you. And start that question again.
I was just wondering if we had heard anything from the mayor's office regarding an expansion to having Zoom meetings. Because I know they usually give it every month or something. They give an expansion.
There was an extension. Yes, there was of the emergency order for 30 days. Let me just give me a moment. I should have this somewhere here. Buried. Yes, there was an extension given. I think it was till the 19th of February. So but there was an extension given. So we will be conducting business over Zoom. As soon as I find it, I will. Here it is. Yeah, it was emergency executive order 315. It's 30-day extension through February 19th.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, officer reports. Our Vice Chair Jessica Elliott, did you have a report?
Hi, Chair. I do not have a report, but I did want to mention that I did attend the We Act Justice Forward event this past weekend. I did not attend the tour in the morning, but I heard it was amazing. And, you know, a lot of great work being done to push forward the environmental justice initiatives for our neighborhood and the Bronx, our sister neighborhoods. So that's it for me. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Jason Villanueva is excused, and he is not able to present a treasurer's report this month because he is absent. We'll move on to Michelle Witcher-Clement. Do you have a secretary's report, Michelle?
Hi, I don't have a secretary's report. However, I would like to thank each person that has been engaging in going to committee meetings and all of the beautiful things that we have been doing within our community. However, I would like to follow up next month to say the people that have been coming and like have a chart of who has been attending, who has been lax in attending, and who is on the borderline of not attending enough meetings. And this is something that when we were appointed, we knew that we would be attending a certain amount of meetings. And if we don't, then we are not really doing our duty to our constituents. So that would be following up next month.
Thank you very much. Michelle, if there are any questions once that is prepared, you can present those questions to both her and the staff, and please CC myself and Jessica. We will now move on to our committee reports and action items. And first up, we have John Green of Housing. John?
Thank you, Xavier. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year to all of you. Excuse me, the minutes for the January Housing Committee meeting are for informational purposes only. I was unable to attend. I did not feel well, so, but I do want to thank Dawn Sanders for chairing the meeting, and I want to thank Marlene Pierre for always keeping things on point. So, like as I said, the minutes are for informational purposes only, and I thank you very much.
Okay, Thank you very much, John. Okay. We now have licenses and permits. Adam Briha.
Yep, all right.
Adam?
Thanks, Xavier. Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna make this as quick as possible, so we'll just go number one. Alex 123 Corp. It was a new application for a beer and cider license for a restaurant at 1928 Third Avenue on 106th Street. The committee recommended that that application be approved. Number two was Tawi Kit Corp. Doing business as Malini, new application for a wine and beer license for a restaurant at 2028 Second Avenue on 104th Street. Committee recommended that that application be denied. I believe they were missing documents. Number three, Lechonera Tropical and Grill Corp. Renewal application for a wine and beer license for a restaurant located at 172 East 103rd Street. The committee recommended that that application be denied. I believe they were also missing documents. Number four, Rayo's Bar and Grill, doing business as Rayo's Bar and Grill, renewal application for a full liquor license for restaurant at 455 East 114th Street on Pleasant Avenue. The committee recommended that that application be approved. Next slide, please. Okay, that was it for liquor licenses. And then for street activity permits, number five was for Carnaval del Barrio Street Festival. It's on 116th between 2nd and 3rd on July 29th. Committee recommended that that application be approved. And then number six was El Barrio Family Day Health Fair Festival. It's for May 14th. It's on 116th between 2nd and 3rd. And the committee recommended that that application be approved. I think that was it.
Yep,
No,
I'm just
number
pulling it.
seven. Sorry, next slide. Number seven, Back to School Health Fair Festival. It's for August 13th. It's also on 116th between 2nd and 3rd. And the committee recommended that that application be approved.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, this committee denied and denied. Okay, so we will entertain a motion to adopt the committee's recommendations. Again, number one was that the application be approved. Two, that the committee recommends the application being denied. Three, the committee recommends the application be denied. Number four was that the committee recommends this application be approved. Number five, the street permits, the committee recommends this application to be conditionally approved. Six was the committee recommends this application be approved. And seven, the committee recommends that this application be approved. I will entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendations. Nilsa? You're muted, Nilsa.
I'm sorry about that. I make a motion to accept the committee's recommendations on all items as outlined here.
Okay, is there a second, John?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano, Leroy Andino, Stephanie Arroyo.
Yeah.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adam Briha,
Yes.
Jahid Chaudhry, Diane Collier,
Yes.
Devon Crunchow,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz, Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Anija Donadell,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Febrero,
Approve.
Raja Flores, Osendi Garcia, Brandon is excused, David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Yes.
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Marissa Mack, Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Malik McCullough, Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes.
Artura Perez, Claudia Perez, Roberto Perez. Was that Claudia?
Yes, it was. And I said,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Roberta Perez, Shavasia Robertson Teg,
Yes.
Natasha Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez,
Yes.
Don Sanders, Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Vincent Torres, Anne-Marie Vasquez, Candy Vives Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle Wilshire Clement, me, yes, Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and Jason Wu. That completes it.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just trying to unmute.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Great. Thank you very much, Adem, and I appreciate you being also too at the OCM meeting, because when we get to that next stage of that licensing, that'll fall within your committee's purview. Moving on to our next committee report.
Great.
Environment, Open Space, Park. Jessica, you got it.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Trying to make this quick. We've been having pretty intense meetings, so I encourage you all to stop by and see what's going on in the Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. We did have an informational update. I'm just going to give you the highlights here from DSNY. Unfortunately, as you know, we've all heard, there's still moving forward, obviously, with the temporary garage, which we've asked for a tour of. And as Marissa stated, that they're waiting to hear when that might be able to happen. We do still have concerns about parking ongoing at that location and the previous location, as well as other MTA locations. So just so you all know, we're still pushing forward on that, and it's still moving forward if you don't hear anything about it. We did have a motion that was passed. I guess we didn't really need a motion, but to ask the DSNY commissioner to attend an upcoming meeting with a tour of the facility. So we'll look forward to that. We also had a presentation on Pier 107 as part of the Esplanade projects with New York EDC and the Parks Department. They are hosting an informational meeting tomorrow at 6:30. I can post the link in the chat, but please attend if you can. And there will be potentially an in-person meeting in the first week of February. So I'll keep you all updated about that. But essentially, obviously the pier is dilapidated and needs to be demolished, but it will be replaced in kind. So all the square footage that would be demolished will be replaced. And they're just considering whether or not it's best to leave it in its current location, or if it might be worth exploring moving it to 112th Street for better connection to that pedestrian bridge. Our committee did have a tour of the Esplanade, what was it, 2 weekends ago. And, you know, I think the general consensus, at least from the people that were there, was that there are pros and cons to both locations. And, you know, we don't necessarily have a hard answer as to which way it could go. So if you do have a really important opinion on that, please go to the community informational meeting tomorrow, hosted by EDC and Parks, to convey that opinion. And I will see you there. The last thing is a motion, was a letter of support for PS 108 Peter Minuet Playground, which was approved unanimously in the committee. Let us know if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you very much. Don't see any hands raised. Okay, well, there was a motion made by David Giordano and seconded by Natasha Rodriguez to approve a letter of support for PS 108 Peter Minuet Playground with the addition of including a needle cleanup, etc. The motion was approved unanimously. Is there a motion from the floor to support the committee? Nilsa, yes.
Yes, I make a motion to support the excellent committee's recommendations that always come out of environment, open space and parks.
Okay. Wonderful. Is there a second? Michelle?
I second that wholly.
Okay. Seconded. Wonderful. Please call the roll.
Jose Altamirano, Leroy Andino, Stephanie Arroyo,
Yes.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adem Briha,
Yes.
Jahid Chaudhry, Diane Collier,
Yes.
Devon Cronchow,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz, Rosa Diaz, Angela Donadell.
Yes,
Rosa Diaz.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
Angela Donadell.
Thank you, Angela. Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Febrero,
Yes,
Raja Flores, Osendi Garcia, Brandon Gillespie, David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Marissa Mack, Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Malik McCullough, Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes.
Arturo Perez, Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Roberta Perez, Shavassia Robertson-Tay, Natasha Rodriguez.
I'm sorry. Yes.
That was Shavassia?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay, Natasha Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez. Eugene? Okay, Dawn Sanders, Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Vincent Torres, Amory Vasquez, Candy Vivez Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle Wilcher Clement, me, yes, Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and Jason Wu.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next committee. Isaac Scott, Human Services.
Happy New Year's, everybody. I'll keep this really quick. We had our monthly update from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, also from East Harlem COAD, Bordeaux, and also Bordeaux Neighborhood Health Center. We were expecting another presenter. They weren't able to make it, so they will be coming back in either February or March. But most importantly, we were able to really have a deep discussion with exponents. So they came before us in December and were requesting a letter of support to expand services. And we asked them if they could submit, so we have a community assessment form, an organizational assessment form, excuse me. We asked them to fill that out for us. They filled it out immediately, got it right back to us. We were able to look at it over the break, come back on this meeting in January and deal with them about some of the information that was in their assessment form. The assessment form was also sent out along with the agenda for the meeting, so folks got a chance to see it. Yes, and the motion was supported. Motion was passed by the committee. So that's where we at right now. I'll stop there. Is that cool?
That's great, Isaac. Yeah, it was a very, very good meeting. The Human Services Committee had an action item with a motion to support exponents' request for a letter of support to expand their harm reduction services, which will include syringe and Narcan distribution on Ward's Island, made by Robin Stration and second by April Autry. And for those that, again, the service there is to focus on the shelters that are there on the island, so as to prevent, as they pitch to us, to prevent them traveling over into the primary area of East Harlem. So they were trying to be a positive solution and meeting people where they're at versus them coming into the community and having to meet various challenges. They also committed to a 30-day review, and they've said that whatever we ask, they'll jump through. So just a lot of the items that were discussed, it was a very productive meeting. Thank you, Isaac. So is there a motion to support the request for a letter of support for exponents? Nilsson?
Yes, that I make a motion to support the Human Services motion as arrived by the committee.
Is there Candy? You had your hand raised?
I second it.
Okay. Claudia, just to ask, were you raising to also second?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so we had a motion by Nilsa, second by Candy. Please call the roll.
The roll will call April Autry, Adem Briha,
Yes.
Shahid Chaudhry, Diane Collier.
Abstain.
Okay. Devon Cronchow,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Carlos Diaz, Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadell,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Stephanie Arroyo,
Yes.
Judith Febrero,
Yes.
Raha Flores, Osendi Garcia, David Giordano,
Yes. I'm sorry.
John Green,
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Marissa Mack, Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Malik McCullough, Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Abstain.
Arturo Perez, Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Roberta Perez, Shavasia Robinson Teague,
Yes.
Natasha Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez, Don Sanders, Xavier Santiago, Xavier, Isaac
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Vincent Torres, Anne-Marie Vasquez, Candy Vivas Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle, thank you, Candy. Michelle Wilshire Clement, yes. Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and Jason Wu.
Yes.
Thank you.
Um,
That completes it.
did you call Stephanie Arroyo by chance?
I did. And she said
Stephanie?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
she got
All
me in the middle. I think she saw my message. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Just want to make sure. Okay, the motion
Can I
carries.
just, thank you, Xavier. Can I just thank everybody for helping to push this through and support them? I think that they were a model for, what we ask of organizations to come before us and be transparent. They sat through a lot of discussion with us and a lot of interrogation, if you will, but they were very open and they didn't shy away from any question at all. So just wanted to thank you for that, because I honestly believe that they will be one of those good players that will help towards advancing the goals that we all have for the community, for our community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Isaac. And as we move to our next committee of youth and education, I just want to remind everyone as we go into this year, and something I was trying to keep this meeting going along quickly, is that the three questions I'd like you to always ask when we have groups presenting to us, or organizations that we're calling back, whether it's 5 years with the rezoning, with Avalon Bay, or those organizations that are cited here and under our review, or right down to a liquor license renewal. We ask ourselves three questions, which is one, have they been, are they being, or will they be a good community partner and neighbor? And I think at the core of our work, if we continue to ask those questions, and if we find that they haven't been and they're being now, then we have a resolution. But if they haven't been and they aren't being now, then the question of whether or not they will be in the future, and we have to make certain choices and how we determine our new relationship at that point. But again, ask yourselves those three questions. They have been. I think we're going to accomplish a lot of great work this year. So thank you, Isaac, and I look forward to the progress on that committee. Now on to Youth and Education, David Giordano, and I see Natasha Rodriguez here as well. It was great doing that little tour. So who's going to present for us?
Actually, Natasha will present because she ran and chaired the meeting, and we're doing a tag team, and I'll do next month.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Apologize for the background noise. Basically, we only had one presentation. It was by Rev Scott, and it was for his program, the Art Justice Safety Coalition. They provide arts programming to at-risk youth in our community. I think it's just an amazing organization, and I hope that we could continue to support his organization in the future with whatever they need. So that's basically it.
Yeah, and I just want to add that I think Rev Scott does a unique job in really taking arts and literacy and bringing them together to both work with people who are returning to the community, but also the people that are working with the people that are returning to the community. So he does have a lot of opportunities for different workshops. Please get on and take a look. Again, it's so wonderful to support our own who are giving back to the community, not only through the community board, but in the work they do day to day. And I commend Reverend Scott for his work. Again, art sometimes.
I just want to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just want to add quickly that his presentation was very good. I know that there's a function on the website to look back at the meeting. So if anyone wants to go back and watch his presentation, I think he covered everything very well. So, yeah. David, you're muted.
Yeah, he just presented actually in the last committee, and he should just continue to present on his own program, because I think he just brings it to light. And I do want to see if I can find a way to offer some of our staff some of the opportunities and the trainings that he has coming up. So, thanks.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the benefits of being in a virtual environment, being able to listen to all the committee meetings. So well done. Excellent. With that, we will move on to our land use, landmarks, and planning. Jason, of course, is not with us. He's excused tonight. So Nilsa Rama, our vice chair of the committee. Nilsa.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of what the meeting was. And of course, you have the minutes for informational purposes only. As part of this meeting, one of the things that our committee wanted to remind everyone was that the citywide statement of needs is on the city planning website. Commentary is accepted until April 3rd. So if you have not become familiar with that, please do so. The committee also had a discussion.
Here.
I'm sorry, I'm hearing noise.
Diana, would you please? Thank you.
Thank you. We also had a discussion of the ECF Avalon Bays project. As you know, they had come in December to present, and the committee was very concerned about the absence of two schools that we had voted positively on the project just because of their inclusion. And so questions were submitted. They answered back, and the committee discussed whether it was sufficient. We plan to continue to engage with Avalon Bay to ensure that the project goes as we expected it to. Part of the discussion also in that meeting was that we discussed our goals and accomplishments for the prior board year, and that's in the minutes. And we also discussed the redlining presentation that Jessica Morris and Beverly Pavone have been working hard to get us dates. As part of that discussion and to understand the subject matter more, Angel Biscayne made a recommendation of 2 books that we can look at to get better educated, which was one of them was called The Sum of Us by Heather McGee and The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. With that, I will conclude my brief synopsis, and for more pertinent and detailed information, please look at our minutes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Anilsa. Don't see any hands raised. Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move along. Oh, Angela?
Hi. Can you mention the names of those 2 books again, please?
The Sum of Us by Heather McGee and The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Angela.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. With that, we will move to our public safety and transportation. Jose is not with us tonight. Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Hi. Unfortunately, we were unable to reach quorum until half an hour later. And by that time, I had already called it. There was a lot of people. It was going to be a jam-packed meeting. And we just did not have enough people to hold the meeting. And so it had to be canceled, unfortunately. And I hope that does not happen in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michelle. Candy, you had your hand raised.
Yes, so what happens then for the election for the street naming? Does it then be presented on the following month?
It would be presented in the following month, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All of those agenda items get deferred to next month's. Again, I've spoken with Michelle and Jose. It's important that attendance, please, at the committee level, we need to have quorum to be able to take a position and vote. On rare instances when we can't, if it is really pressing, it does come to executive, but the work of the committee, and we've been doing a really great job at this, and that's why the meetings have sometimes run late, is because the work's actually being done. But it's important for us to have quorum, and just one person can throw that out of alignment. So please, I implore all of our board members' presence. If you've had challenges, please coordinate, make sure your chairs know if you're able to make it or not, and chairs just continue making sure that quorum is maintained. So unfortunately, we didn't have it, but I appreciate you being here to report back on that, Michelle. We'll now move on to the next committee item, a report, which will be economic development culture. Marissa? Okay.
Marissa's not here tonight, so I will be giving you our report. Hello, good evening, everyone. We had our informational updates. We had Carrie first speak, and she let us know about a lot of, positive things that are happening in the community. She mentioned the street cleaning on 125th. The new initiative is called Get Stuff Cleaned, and that's under the new mayor. And she is receiving help from EDC and Ready, Willing, and Able to help with the cleanups daily from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. Restaurant week it began the 17th, so please go out and patronize your restaurants who are participating. I believe it's 6 in East Harlem that are participating in Restaurant Week. There is a clothing drive on 125th every Wednesday during the farmers market for the asylum seekers that Carrie is also hosting. And she also informed us that Liz is a organization as well, and they are getting businesses help with their free online platform in English and in Spanish. So if you want more information in regards to those initiatives, please reach out to her. She also mentioned that the bid on 125th Street, there is progress in that as well. Michelle from Union Settlement presented as well, and she gave us a lovely presentation on equitable community wealth. And it was pretty much just her explanation of how she wants to engage union settlement with the community and enhance the assets in our neighborhood that already exist. For example, Uptown Grand Central. They hosted a bar crawl during December where they visited, I believe, 4 or 5 restaurants to support them during the holidays. So that was nice. Chelsea from El Museo del Barrio presented. She gave us information on the 3 Kings Day celebration and reported that about 3,000 people participated. Our Manhattan Borough President and Mayor attended, so that was nice. The fall exhibition is on display until March, and then their spring exhibition will be with more information coming for that, but for mid-May. We had a presentation on with Hot Bread Kitchen, and they presented to us a culinary training and job placement Monday through Friday for 5 weeks, 10 to 3. The students accepted get a $200 weekly stipend for 4 weeks, and they're pretty much training for prep cooks, food service workers, pastry assistants, and bakers. If you do get placed for a job, the average salary is $17 an hour. So this information is for informational purposes only. And if you have any other questions, you can look at our YouTube recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Candy, you had a question?
Yeah, regarding Hot Bread Kitchen, where are they located? Because I know they're not in the Marqueta unless they move back in. So why are they providing that service, and what are they doing for us in this community? Because we supported them and they quietly left.
I can definitely find out for you, and I can put it in the chat within the next minute. I can give you her name, her email, so that you can reach out. But I don't believe that they're in the Marqueta. I believe that they're somewhere else. So I can get that for you, Candy, if you'd like.
Yeah, I gotta really voice my opinion about this. And if I'm offending anybody, I'm sorry about that. You know what? I'm not gonna be sorry, because at the end of the day, we really supported Hot Bread Kitchen. A lot of money, that is our community money, was invested into that organization. And for them to quietly leave and then also not really, not really give exactly what they said that they were going to give the community is really a big disservice. And I'm very disappointed about the way the way the whole thing went. And then now they're coming back to present to say that they're giving something. Where they're giving it at? Because most of their business, they were taking it out of the community. So, I have an issue when we get disenfranchised in our community, and I take that very passionately. So I would really appreciate, and I would like for us to have that information. Who's the person in charge right now, and exactly what are they doing? I mean, it's
so
just like
I'm gonna put her email in the chat right now. It's macevedo@hotbreadkitchen.org. But she gave us a flyer, and I believe that Angel emailed the flyer to everyone. If not, I'll find a way to disseminate the flyer to you and to the rest of the board so that you guys can voice your concerns directly to them. I wasn't aware of that, but I believe that her presentation as to what she presented to us did sound like something promising, and that would hopefully be helpful to our constituents, and hopefully our residents get accepted into this program. But thank you for that, Candy.
The truth is that she has to explain to us what she did. That's not right. Come in and then break out and not say anything. No, unacceptable.
So we will follow up with that with that committee and chase down what the status is. So thank you, Candy, for speaking up on that, and please liaise with EcoDev and we'll follow up. Thank you. Our last committee is going to be executive. We had a fairly extensive meeting, covered a lot of ground, as Angel noted in his report. We had a meeting on, I believe it was the 18th, in preparation for a presentation from the MTA with a request for a letter of no objection at the Extel site. And they explained the process as now that the Second Avenue subway has moved along a little bit further. But this letter of support or no contest, if you will, was to increase the easement area so that they can create the structures within the envelope of the building, so ventilation, et cetera, and so on. And this allows them to therefore go and apply for a grant so they can get from the federal government, but they have to have this in place showing they have the easement. So that was the crux of the presentation. The committee did pass a letter of no objection for a proposed transit easement on Lexington Avenue between 124th and 125th Streets for the planned station entrance and ancillary structure for the Second Avenue Subway Phase 2 project. So again, this will allow them to move the process along, and we will be having on Thursday our Second Avenue Subway Task Force meeting, and Joe O'Donnell from the MTA will also be presenting to give an update to both our task force and our CBOs and community partners of that group. So with that, I'd like to, yes, Beverly.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want some clarification in regards to the ancillary structures. Are they going to have one on Lexington Avenue and Park Avenue? Is that what they seem to do? The one on 124th Street between 124th, 124th and Park Avenue, as well as one on Lexington Avenue?
So
And
Dan, you kind of, so these are two different parcels of land owned by two different entities. So them coming, before, this is the Extel component. I think the other is Durst. When it comes to, in my understanding, to my best knowledge, when it comes to ancillary structures, this allows for ventilation and other components that facilitate the subway's operation within an entrance, and it contains in the envelope, usually going up several stories, the mechanicals as well. Whether that's components that are related to an elevator or to an escalator, et cetera, and so on. So this is for this parcel, and it's not related to the parcel on Park Avenue. Does that help clarify?
Yeah, and I'm just kind of concerned because if that's two that they're putting in that one block area, and then you have the other ancillary structure that's on 126th Street and Park Avenue, that's part of Metro North. I mean, those are a lot of different type of buildings that that's in our community, and I'm just kind of concerned about having so many of those type of structures in such a small area. And I guess we'll discuss that at the task force meeting.
We will go into greater detail on that. What I can say is traveling to some of the larger transit stops. If you go to, say, Fulton Street, downtown in the financial district, they have a multitude of them within a concentrated area to the entrances. Now we'll only have the 456 and then the Q and the Metro North, but that'll be above ground. So I think, we will dive into that deeper, but this is related to the parcel on Lexington Avenue on 125th and 124th.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. If there are no further questions, and again, I would encourage you, they did bring up a presentation during our executive committee meeting. So if you'd like to go into further detail, you can see it there. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion to adopt the committee's letter of no objection for the proposed transit easement. Please raise your hands. Nilsa?
I make a motion to accept the committee's recommendation to issue a letter of no objection for the Second Avenue Subway as presented.
And I saw Claudia's hand come up next. Claudia, do you wish to second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Stephanie Arroyo,
Yes.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adem Briha,
Yes.
Jahid Chaudhry, Diane Collier,
Yes.
Devon Cronshaw,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadell,
Abstain.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Febrero,
Yes.
David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Abstain.
Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Javasia Robinson Teague, Natasha Rodriguez,
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez,
Yes.
Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Amory Vasquez, Candy Vivez Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle Wilcher Clement, yes, Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and Jason Wu.
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. The motion carries. Next was number 11, comments to Chapter 2, Subtitle B of Title 9 of the Official Compilation of Codes, Rules and Regulations of the State of New York regarding rules of adult use cannabis as it pertains to Parts 119 Municipal Rulemaking and 120 Application on Licensure. Again, thank you, Pilar, for bringing Chris Alexander in. We did spend the majority of time discussing these rules and regulations, and there was distributed a week in advance a resolution that had mirrored, I believe it was CB6, but it was adapted to our needs that really called out many of the questions that were raised in the committee. Some of them were making sure that we were getting in front of the ball, and again, reaffirming that we'd like to be at the forefront of the process and not after the fact that a license is given. There were a couple of little issues here and there that just one or two that really were the majority debate was around, but eventually the with a few minor resolution did pass and unanimously. So yes, Eugene.
Yeah, as you know, I have a big problem with this. We spent 30, 40 years trying to decriminalize pot. Now we're going to have to deregulate pot. I mean, one pot store in all of New York City, a second one on 125th Street. How is that going to, help people that are trying to smoke pot? It just doesn't work. And I think I'm going to vote no on this.
So what this is asking for, Eugene, I'm not sure if you got to read it in depth. It goes line item by line item of really just asking in resolution form that the committee, in this case, license and permits, comes because there are a variety of different ways of consuming. There's just direct purchasing and then taking home. There is components that they haven't fleshed out, such as on-site consumption. There's so many varieties of the licenses that there's a lack of clarity. So what this resolution does is calls out and asks for that clarity, and ultimately asking for, and this is what's being requested from a lot of the boards, is that prior to getting a license, is to just come before the board and present and show that you don't necessarily have to have your location, but you come and present to the board and the community first, and then subsequently we'd like them to come back once they found a location. Again, it's about creating good business partnership and making sure that the community is engaged on the forefront versus as an afterthought as it is now. Now, there was some clarification about that and how they would handle it and what they learned, but there were a lot of rules that OCM was applying from lessons learned in New Jersey, and what happened in New Jersey does not apply to us in New York. One or two licensing members in a township in New Jersey does not a 50-member community board make. And I think that was the disconnect. And when we had that conversation a little deeper with Chris Alexander, he said, oh yeah, you're right. So like 1 or 2 people who are giving license in New Jersey who could possibly be bribed, that's not applicable to us here as an example. So again, in general, this committee here was about not deregulating, regulating, about having community engagement, having community oversight of the board, just like we do with our liquor licenses. It was just asking for the same parity down the rule, just straight down the line. It's just that there are so many different areas that they have not figured out that it behooved us to, rather than being on our back foot, to be forward leaning in the conversation. And they said they would be very receptive during this comment period. So I hope that explains it. Again, having read nearly 200 pages of licensing and code regulations, et cetera, and so on, I appreciate the committee's engagement with it. So, Michelle, you had a question.
I did not have a question. I wanted to make a motion.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So Nilsa and Diane and Beverly, do you have questions before I let Michelle make the motion?
Well, I have a comment. And my concern is, why didn't this cannabis committee, or whatever they're calling commission, come up with new rules? I mean, they're basing rules on the liquor license rule, which are in themselves draconian. I mean, they're archaic. They come back, they are from the day of prohibition. And so I'm wondering, did they really, is this just an easy way for them just to roll this out without really taking a look at it? And at what point are they going to address, because we're going to end up with a lot of places that are close to churches, close to schools, et cetera, and it really won't help the people that it was supposed to help.
I think, thank you for your comment, Diane. My understanding, and Angel, please correct me if I'm wrong, or Adem, it's 500 feet from a school or community center, 200 feet from a church, which is in line with the SLA requirements.
Right.
So to answer your first question, I think they rolled this out, and this is my impression, is they rolled it out haphazardly in some ways without getting the community feedback. They are getting the feedback now, which is why they're allowing the commentary period. I do think when we had the meeting, and Chris Alexander was a really nice gentleman. He really took things on in a holistic way of saying like, wow, we didn't really consider it. This is where we were coming from. For example, they were concerned about bribing because that had happened in New Jersey. Like, that's not relevant or germane to us. But as was mentioned in the meetings, at executive, as Angel said, like, we all agree is that the moment you say New Jersey, we're New York. So that so that component was part of this. The other thing, I think, they had a thought process with it. What happens is they get their license. They then come once they found a location before us. And part of the methodology and approach was to not prevent them from getting a license before getting a location, because in the SLA, you have to get your location first, then your liquor license you apply. So they thought it would be a way of preventing the NIMBY versus YIMBY kind of argument. So these are some of the components that were addressed, but in ours, it kind of like we try to narrow it down to make it a more streamlined approach. That's what this reso is about. So I hope that answers.
Well, it answers, I guess, overall, but in my opinion, like I said, the liquor license, state liquor license regulations are really out of step with the 21st century. That's just that's from my experience of being on SLA in general.
Okay, thank you. Beverly?
Yeah, I agree with Diane regarding the liquor license and them using it as a template, I guess, so for the marijuana. And this is like a new opening for a new type of business. I also have some concerns about what else would be talked about regarding when someone has a license and they want to come in our community, what else will we be able to put them, I don't even know how to say it. I'm worried about incidents, reports when they have to do renewals. Would that be one of the things that we can bring up once they are in our community? It was just some things, and even for the off-site consumption businesses, I just want some ideas on how that works. Is that separate from the dispensaries that's there? And how does this business help our community in the long run? I know these supposed to help the people who has been incarcerated during the old days, I guess now, for marijuana. So would any financial reports be given to us on how much is made and how much is being given or helping out our community? It's just like it's a lot of questions that I'm just concerned about on this issue with the marijuana license and dispensaries and even the offset or onset consumption business part of that within our community. It's just a lot.
Yeah, they haven't rolled out the full on-site consumption regs yet, as our understanding, at least what was explained. So they're still kind of working that through. The rest of it, we tried to comment on even things that, again, trying to insert ourselves into the conversation. And they do,
right.
According to Chris Alexander, they want to be engaged with us. And my understanding is letters of intent have to be presented to the board, et cetera, and so on. There are a lot of other components in place. And what we were pushing for is that that's all well and fine. It's like, but make sure they're coming to us first protocol before they go to apply. And then they circle back when they're now searching and they found a location. And my understanding is OCM double checks when they have identified a location as to whether or not it meets the feet from the House of Worship School, community center, and so on. So that's our understanding of it.
And that includes the consumption part of the business also, or just the dispensaries?
Right now it's the dispensary, but let me get through some other questions. I'm not sure if Pilar is still here. I'm not really able to check the chat. And if she is, yeah, so hold on, Pilar. I haven't recognized you. I want to get through the other questions so that way we can be very concise in addressing the concerns and very succinct. So just bear with me. Candy, Nilsa, Stephanie, and Eugene. Candy?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I have you see, the thing with the resolution, I know that this is real quick and I didn't really get to read it and absorb it all today, and I was present and was able to attend part of it. The thing about this is that both the city and the state contradict each other right now, right? And while this is now the new sexy thing, at the end of the day, I don't think that, taking away and going into these smoke shops or dispensaries and shutting them down, confiscating all the materials and everything, and then they're going to be open again, right? It's a lot of money being invested. And the ones that, like Eugene was saying, after all these years, now all of a sudden, this is really a gray area, because once it was considered already legal to smoke, then everything was okay. Everybody then started opening up and doing whatever it was that they wanted to do. And it's really a lot of gray areas. I know that we're pressing for time, but at the end of the day, I just feel that, it has a lot of gray areas between the state and the city. They really got it. When they were going to do these regulations, they should have spoke together. All right. And then gotten community input before even stating this is what we're going to do. Rather than we're going to have to sit down and read the regulations that were first drafted and then that were finalized. There was no comment period that I could have been aware of for the whole community board and every community to be able to give their input, and then now they put, now there's a lot of places being shut down and then they open up again. It's just that the fact is that there's too much, still a lot of gray areas, even though there's regulations. The city and the state really need to sit down with us, and we should actually have them both come and come and speak to us, to the whole community board. You know, I am gonna just say in advance so that you know I'm abstaining from this, because I'm not so fully, you know, when you're gonna say the churches and the schools, there's some churches that are so defunct, they're not operating, right? And so if there's a church that hasn't been open for so many years, all of a sudden there's a vacated spot where someone can come in and put up a store, then you really can't do anything there, because there's a church there that doesn't exist, but it still has a church sign. And because it hasn't been really recognized to be, you know, deactivated, that they're not really an active congregation, that
I
really
think
sets
so.
like
So Candy, I'm just gonna, so real quick, I want to make sure we're not conflating 11 and 12. This is for the comment period. This is what OCM and the state has levied down, that we have a limited time period to comment. So I want to be expressly clear. This was all dumped on us. We've been trying for months to get OCM. And Pilar, don't worry, I'm going to let you speak. I just need to get through some of my board members' comments first, and I hope you're taking notes on the questions. So the reality is, if we don't make a comment at full board tonight, we abdicate our ability to comment. So meaning we give it up. We give up the opportunity. And we're not the only board who's been put on our back foot. Angel and I have spoken. Adam and I participated in Uptown task forces because they've been chasing OCM, and we're finally getting traction. So I think as an agency, they're figuring it out, but we've had a bunch of policy and regulations dumped in our lap, and it's incumbent upon us. I know it's not easy. I know it's not right. My Christmas vacation was covering all of this. That's what I did. I read almost 200 pages of these regs. So this is the reality. So I don't want us to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I hear you and I understand. And so maybe that's something later on as we get to the second stage. How do we as a community that has a large amount of street side churches that are not all functioning, how does that play a part when we open up a restaurant that gets a license for liquor, or for, in this case, a cannabis license? How does that play a part? So that's something that we will determine down the road. But this is, for lack of a better phrase, it's our first bite at the apple. And we have a deadline. So it's not where I'd prefer us to be. You know that. So
I understand.
What is the deadline?
What is it, the 12th, 13th?
13th.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So
Yes.
all I'm just saying is that, okay, there's 52 bodies, and I know this came out of the executive board, but obviously you can see a lot of my colleagues are also having a lot of questions and comments as well, that I'm sure that probably could have been put into this resolution or not, or something. You know, I'm not trying to be a rebel rouser, but I'm just, you know, putting in my comment that it's just a lot of gray areas in here. That's all.
Well, I mean, if you look at the reso, it's pretty in depth. We cover a lot of line items there. So, all right, Stephanie, I got to move things along because Steph.
So yeah, I just want to mention, if there are issues with the way the state liquor license is given, and you don't want that to be copied for the cannabis, then this is the time that we need to respond in the resolution, or even on your own, you can respond and ask for changes to be done. These are not finalized regulations yet. They're being finalized. They're looking at our comments. So this is the moment that we have to ask for these changes. And regarding the question about how do we, other than the people who are getting the licenses to do this, like how do we get something out of this? There's revenue that is taken from this, as you guys, some of you know, have heard, and I believe it's like 40% that's going to be given back to the community, which OCM will be in charge of, have authority over, which is something else I think we should be responding to in the resolutions. But this is the time where we have to respond to this, as Xavier said. So if you guys have any issues on how this is going to be done, this is now when we need to respond and ask for those changes to be input.
Yeah, so to add to that, and again, if you've read it, and looking at it, one of the major asks is instead of a 30-day, requesting a 60-day. That's an important component of it. If you look into the devil's in the details, right? We staked out a lot of ground on the time periods and advocating for just more engagement with the board, everything that we could predict, and we would be joining good company with other boards who have advocated for very similar positions. But again, this is the, like I said, it's the first bite of the apple, but it's the primary one. The additional components we get out of the 60-day, but we will not make that in time. So again, this is more to stake out the essential bits and bobs. So next I'm going to go to, let's see here, Eugene and then Nilsson. Eugene, you had a follow-up question because I know you spoke on it earlier.
Yeah, well, if you have to read 200 pages of regulations to open a business, they basically saying you can't open a business. I don't know a weed man in my neighborhood that can cope with all these rules and regulations together. So my problem is that nobody's speaking for the weed man. As you can already see, because of these regulations, they're already closing smoke shops. I mean, come on. You don't think that the guy's going to go out and start selling on the corner like he was before? If there's so many regulations that I can't comply with them, I'm not going to sell in front of a church. Come on. This is reality. These rules and regulations are just not going to work. They got to get it down to 100. So what I'm asking for is a minority resolution that says they should deregulate pot instead of overregulate pot.
Well, so I appreciate your comment. I'm going to go to Nilsson next, and then Adem, and then Angel, so we can kind of bring this. Nilsson.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a general comment. We post our agendas on our calendar. This discussion was posted. And so while I appreciate everyone's input here, we had a very, very lengthy discussion in executive, even including people from the public. So I will urge my fellow board members, especially with hot button topics like this, that will affect our citizens and our community on both ends, the sellers as well as the buyers and the communities and the churches, that you all please attend those meetings because they're important. Because as you see, we have a short limited time to put our thoughts on paper so that we can open up a conversation and at least be part of the conversation. I'd like to thank everybody on the executive committee who was very thorough in trying to dissect and get the comments. So I will urge this board, as you mentioned, Xavier, that if we don't come to some kind of a consensus tonight in a motion, then we will have lost our opportunity to comment on this phase. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilsson. Adem, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of comments earlier about the SLA being outdated in terms of their process. I'm not going to comment on to whether I believe that or not, but what I will say is one thing we've done with the License and Permits Committee is include a stipulation form. So regardless of what SLA has in their procedures or rules, we make our own procedures and rules and have a binding agreement then with applicants, something that SLA has acknowledged that they recognize and take to heart, especially in the case of new applicants. That's why I think we're fighting so hard to get these applicants to come here before they get the license. Ideally, then we could craft stipulation forms. And it was always, at least my opinion, that these stipulation forms, because this touches on every committee, could be shaped maybe even as a board. And then we could address things that we agree are outdated or only fit our community. I'll give you one example. I think that we talked about at executive, and we talked about with Chris Alexander, was there's the distance requirement from schools and churches, which I agree with, but there's no distance requirement from substance abuse centers. And some communities in New York City don't have a large concentrations of substance abuse centers, so that might not be an issue. but here we know it is. So that's just one example of why there does need to be, I think, more community board involvement. And with that increased community board involvement, we can help lay some of the procedures down, at least when it comes to our community, so that things aren't outdated, and that where things align with SLA, because there are some similarities, right? Just the process. Come to the board before you get a license. Give a public notice so people know you're opening something, right? Those aren't outdated procedures. I mean, maybe we could improve them, but it's about spreading awareness. And then with these stipulation forms, wherever, that's where we could update it. If OCM is willing to have an open mind to it and agree that we're going to be the ones that are stuck with these businesses for better or for worse, right? That we should then have a say in it. So that's just, thanks for the time, Xavier. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for the commentary. Angel, and then I'll go to Pilar.
Thanks, Adam. It seems to me from some of the comments shared so far at the opening of this conversation that folks aren't totally clear on the topic, both just a general cannabis conversation as it's become legalized in the state, and more specifically as it relates to tonight's agenda, the parts of the regulations that we're drafting comments on.
Jordan, thank you. Please mute yourselves, guys, so Angel may speak. Thank you. Carry on, Angel.
Okay, so these comments are specifically speaking to two parts of the proposed cannabis regulations. And what we wanted to do in sending it to you weeks ago and explaining what specifically was going to be spoken to in these regulations is to try to focus you on this conversation. There are a lot of regulations that are drafted, and they're all up for comment. That's what you want as a community board. You want to be able to opine. You want to be able to comment. Not say that you don't have an opportunity to comment when that's exactly what you have right now, specifically at this very moment. And these two particular parts are speaking to what we have experience doing, what we have similar experience doing, which is reviewing liquor license applications. Someone's looking to open a business in our district requiring a state license, and they're referred to the community board for comment. What OCM has drafted so far, even though it's somewhat modeled on the SLA process, doesn't get it exactly right. So the comments are speaking to that and offering them advice on how to improve their proposed regulations as it relates to municipal rulemaking and applications and licensure, right? So for example, how long, how far in advance does a municipality, such as a community board, get notice of a pending application, right? What kinds of conversations can we have with a prospective applicant? Can we establish procedures, questionnaires, stipulations that will be respected by the licensing agency, in this case, the Office of Cannabis Management, similar to the way that the SLA respects stipulations reached between community boards and liquor license applicants, which the SLA does make part of a license. If an applicant of their own volition is presented, agrees of their own volition with a set of, requirements put to them by a community board, then the SLA will make those conditions part of the license that they grant the applicant. And what we're asking is that something similar be applied with respect to cannabis licenses, or that OCM at the very least consider doing something similar, right? We can't dictate what's in a license, but we can certainly advise. And what we're trying to do in these comments is carve out a space so that we can formally advise, and that the agreements that we reach with an applicant are taking into consideration. And the last thing I'll say is, I know this is all very confusing. It's very confusing to most of us, not all of us, but most of us. The reality is that there is a legal licensed channel, and that's progressing at a certain pace. And then there is another channel of folks that are unlicensed and illegal and have jumped into the opportunity where no one's looking and no one's regulating as effectively, right? They're going out, the city's going out and closing places and seizing product and all that on the illegal channel, while at the same time, we're having this conversation about the legal channel. It can get confusing, right? The city, the state announces cannabis is legal, and you start seeing shops open up that are not even hiding what they're doing, and you might think, oh, that's a legal place. Well, it isn't. And that's confusing, that's understandable. But if we, your partners here at the community board, are sending you information to try to help you, try to help ourselves better understand stuff, it's so important that you read the stuff. You know, yeah, you could dive in and read not just 200, you can write 1,000 pages. The regulations are deep. But in this particular instance, we sent you 2 parts. It wasn't 200 pages. And we sent it to you weeks ago, and we explained why it was important for you to review these, because these are the ones most directly impacting a community board, right? This board has heard from a number of people that have been active in the cannabis conversation for a couple of years. And we haven't really had the conversation, haven't taken the opportunity to have the conversation, even though folks have been knocking on the door for a couple of years. We're not the only board, but we're certainly one of them that, you know, when the advocates have been knocking on the door to come and talk to us about it, we haven't engaged. And now everything's flying out of that fire hydrant, and it's hard to keep up and understand. And things are coming from all kinds of different directions. Well, I'm asking you, for goodness sake, and for our sake here as a community board, you know, read the materials that are sent to you so that you're as informed as you can be, so that we can have as constructive a conversation as possible. What's in this particular resolution, if you had read it, and it's not 200 pages, you'll see that it sounds just like the stuff that we do all the time. And that's what we're with liquor licenses. And that's what we're asking the OCM to do with respect to cannabis licenses. We're going to have a resolution coming up after this one that's speaking to the unlicensed smoke shops, right? So it's 2 different things, even though they're both talking about cannabis. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Pilar, do you want to make a couple brief comments to some of the questions?
Yeah, because thank you, Angel. You really said a lot of the things I wanted to say, and for interest of time, you know, you guys, I if I haven't made it clear, I know, you know, you guys have kind of given me the nickname Pilar la Problema, pero always with the solution. Thank you, Nilsa, who always tell me, I don't like the problema, you got solutions. And I have solutions, and there you have me who will always find a way to make myself available and share my resources and networks that I have and what I know on the city and the state level. I am going to be part of the advisory board that will be working with the mayor's office around a lot of the things that were said here around the illicit shops. And I want to also just highlight a few things, quick things. Cannabis is just a plant, and we're going to talk more come in the year and have some forums about it. Also, a lot of these shops, us advocates who worked really hard, I chaired the Community Reinvestment Working Group and the coalition that worked with the legislators to put the bill that you see in front of you, even though it's not exact, everything is not how we liked it, but it does say something for the shops that have opened that I know personally, a lot of them, because I've been born and raised in this community. So I could speak to, especially the ones open here, or the ones that when I walk in, because they know I've been buying Dutchess for them forever. Oh, Pilar, I got that gas, but not remembering or knowing that I'm also a grower and I know what gas is. And, you know, anyway, these are folks that in my experience, have been selling K2, and I am with that. And then there have been some folks that I know who open shop, and I even told them it's a bad move. You're doing it wrong. La barato sale caro. And the English translation is like the cheaper comes out more expensive. And even though a lot of folks are trying to get in the industry you know, they may ended up harming themselves more because they rushed. And I just want to like add, like, we advocates, I've been in meetings every day, and I was in a meeting today with Tashida Dawson and SBS, Small Business, sorry what the last B stands for, but services. And we're talking about these workshops to talk about the comments that I do think CB11 should make. So I just also want to like highlight that I'm supporting, even though I, can't say I read everything that you guys are going to be submitting as a comment, but the more comments, especially since someone like Xavier probably took the time to read this and put this together, and others, I would support that you say this, because the more comments, the better. And we too, advocates, have been feeling like this is going too fast and it's not giving us enough time to educate and organize. And we're working on a campaign to maybe even see if the OCM would be willing to extend the commenting period, only because this cannabis, and I'll end here because I know everybody wants to go. Cannabis is a plant, and it's been medicine for centuries. The only time it changed was when Harry Anslinger in the 1930s began to change our mindset around this amazing medicine. And again, I'm for one who wants clean medicine in the same ways I want people who live in NYCHA to have clean air and clean water and get the basic necessities that they need to be able to just survive. So I want to just like remind folks, alcohol and cannabis are not the same. Coffee, in my opinion, is probably worse than cannabis. And yet we don't treat coffee in that same way. So I think, again, just going back, like, we are with you with feeling like this urgency, and you have me, and I am committed to providing as much information as we get it, including this upcoming workshop that the city is hosting to talk about the sections of that 282 pages. And I believe the first two sections we're going to go through are the social equity aspects. I think it's section 219 point, I may be wrong, but anyway, I will make sure that I share that information with Xavier and with Angel so it could be shared with you. I'm also working with Canna Bronx to putting a comment, because again, we feel like we're feeling the same thing you're feeling. And because we can't even educate and organize because it's moving, and a lot of organizations don't even have the funding to like, I told them, like, I need somebody to door knock. I want to be in NYCHA door knocking. But all that to say too, there's more events to come to East Harlem where a lot of information and resources are going to be brought to our community, because I want to make sure that that's something that we should be having, because again, being that we are one of the top 5 criminalized communities when it comes to this.
Thank you, Pilar. I appreciate your support, and again, making sure we can get in front of Chris Alexander after months of trying to get audience, and in all of this lead up and just having the phone calls over the years of knowing each other. I think, again, us leaning in this process is important, and I appreciate your support. I'd like to go to Nilsa real quick before we call the question. Nelson.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Pilar. She was one of the few, if only, person who came and did a workshop at Hunter College on 119th years ago when I was chair and we were meeting in person, and it was a pleasure to see her bring resources and information to the community. So she's one of the first ones who actually started this conversation here in East Harlem that I can remember. So I look forward to working with you, Pilar, and you have never been a problema for me. And so thank you for the information you've given and that you will continue to give us and in your advisement. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Nelsa. And to reiterate both Angel and Pilar's and the previous points, we do have a limited runway and we are on a deadline with this particular item. And it's better for us, at least, as we say in Spanish, plantar la bandera, and put the flag down and say, listen, this is what we like. And it's everything we've been asking and nothing more. So again, the committee spent an exhaustive amount of time reviewing this. And as Angel said, the information was sent previously, as was this reso. But again, Michelle Witcher-Clement had her hand up to make a motion to support. Michelle, do you still wish to make a motion?
I still wished for us to enter into this conversation by making a motion and being part of the conversation to comments to Chapter 2 of Subtitle B of Title 9 of the Official Compilation of Codes, Rules, and Regulations of the State of New York regarding rules of adult use cannabis as it is pertains to Part 119 Municipal Remaking and 120 Application and Licensure.
Thank you. Is there a second? Eugene, do you wish to second?
No, I wish to make an alternative motion that we have an addendum to this that says we feel that cannabis should be deregulated.
That would be contrary to this motion. I've called for a second. Kenneth, you had your hand raised.
Yes, to second Michelle Witcher-Clement's motion.
Okay, we have a motion that is seconded. Please call the roll.
Stephanie Arroyo.
Yes.
April Autry.
Yes.
Adem Briha.
Yes.
Diane Collier.
Abstain.
Devon Cronshaw.
Abstain.
Kenneth Crouch.
Yes.
Rosa Diaz.
Abstain.
Angela Donadell.
Yes.
Jessica Elliott.
Yes.
Judith Febrero.
Abstain.
David Giordano.
Yes.
John Green.
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins.
Yes.
Alonzo, I'm sorry, did Wanda Hopkins just say something?
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson. Jewel Jones.
No.
Giselle Malave.
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer.
No.
Nilsa Orama.
Yes.
Beverly Pabon.
Abstain.
Claudia Perez.
Yes.
Shavasia Robinson Teague.
Yes.
Natasha Rodriguez.
Yes.
Eugene Rodriguez.
No.
Xavier Santiago.
Yes.
Isaac Scott.
Yes.
Russell Schuler.
Yes.
Anne-Marie Vasquez. Candy Vivez Vasquez.
Abstain.
Michelle Wilshire-Clement, yes. Jordan Wright.
Yes.
Jason Wu.
Yes.
Angel and Michelle, would you confirm from my count the motion carries? Could you? please
Motion
confirm
carries.
that? Thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. I implore you all, I know it's a lot of work, but as volunteers we signed up for. We have impassioned community partners such as Pilar and others who really just want to make this happen the right way. We don't have to agree 100% of the time, but if we agree on the majority, we're going to win on behalf of this community. I know it's getting late, so we're going to move on the agenda. Number 12. This is a resolution calling on Governor Hochul and New York State Legislature via legislation to establish an effective enforcement mechanism to close smoke shops, businesses operating without a cannabis license. The catalyst of this was to also comment on, as Angel talked about earlier, which is that we've had all of these shops that have opened up. They're selling illegally. It is not licensed. It is not regulated from seed to sell. Therefore, there are concerns about the safety of it. Also, too, for those that are actually going through the licensing process, there's an unfair business advantage, and it squelches those that are actually trying to engage in everything in the legal manner as prescribed by OCM. The last bit is that there has been concern for a lot of the community residents, not because of the fear or use of pot, but rather because these illegal establishments have sold to underage minors. In case in point, this happened in our community. A shop here in this community sold edibles to middle schoolers, and they had the I forget it's the emotional children's response unit or something like that. That's contracted by ABC, the Association to Benefit Children, and they have the contract for Manhattan, and they had to address it here in this community. This was raised at our meeting with Chris Alexander, and he in no uncertain terms said any organization or shop that's doing that, they want to know, they will not be permitted a license, and they do want to coordinate with us. So this resolution was kept very simple, twofold, to make sure we are addressing those that are illegally operating in our community, and for them to create actionable legislation that allows them to stop that, because those unregulated products are the ones that could be laced. They're the ones that could have a higher content, and the ones that most likely are going to sell to minors, which is of concern, versus the licensed shops will play by the rules. So again, it was passed by executive committee. Julie, you have your hand raised.
I'll make a motion to support the committee's recommendation.
Okay, all right. I have, John, do you have a question, or do you wish to second?
No, I'd like to second.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. All right, please call the roll.
Stephanie Arroyo,
Yes.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adem Briha,
Yes.
Diane Collier,
Yes.
Devon Cronchow,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yep.
Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadell,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Febrero. Judith,
1 second, yes.
thank you, Judith. Diane Giordano,
Saying it's David.
I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry about that, David. Did you respond, David?
Yes, I abstained on that one. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. John Green,
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer,
No.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pambon,
Yes.
Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Javasi Robinson Teague,
Yes.
Natasha Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Eugene Rodriguez,
No.
Don Sanders, Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Anne-Marie Vasquez, Candy Vivez Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle Wilshire Clement, yes, Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and Jason Wu. Yes. That completes it.
Okay, thank you very much. The motion carries. Okay, last two action items, and we're going to combine these in the interest of time. So if you could scroll to the next page, please.
Chairman,
Yes, Eugene?
when you send them the results of these two votes, please also list those that said yes and those that said, without naming names, the amount of people that said yes, the amount of people that said no, and the amount of people that abstained.
That with every resolution, that's what goes out.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, that is a standard bear protocol. Oh, thank you. Okay, so if we could go to the next slide, please. We had items 13 and 14. Lechonero Tropical and Grill Corp was a renewal application for a wine and beer license number 1253723. The committee recommended this application be denied. They did not provide their materials. And number 14 was Caxolote Latin Bistro Inc. renewal application for full liquor license number 1283481. And that the committee recommended this application be approved. Those were our last two items. Adem gave us the information. They had provided all the details. And it was merely about the arrival number 14, the date, like it had to get delivered by, and 13 just didn't provide the materials. So I'd be willing to entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation, 13 a denial and 14 an approval. Nilsa?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the committee's recommendations as outlined previously in this meeting.
All right, thank you. Is there Beverly? You had your hand up first.
I'll second.
Okay. Please call the roll, and I will let this, don't go anywhere, but I'll let this be our last roll call as well. We'll just go through new, old, and then any announcements. All right.
Okay, can everyone mute, please? Okay, thank you. Stephanie Arroyo,
Yes.
April Autry,
Yes.
Adem Briha,
Yes.
Diane Collier,
Yes.
Devon Cronchow,
Yes.
Kenneth Crouch,
Yes.
Rosa Diaz,
Yes.
Angela Donadell,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Judith Fabrero,
Yes.
David Giordano,
Yes.
John Green,
Aye.
Wanda Hopkins,
Yes.
Alonzo Johnson, Jewel Jones,
Yes.
Giselle Malave,
Yes.
Jennifer Mayer,
Yes.
Nilsa Orama,
Yes.
Beverly Pabon,
Yes.
Claudia Perez,
Yes.
Shavasia Robinson Teg,
Yes.
Natasha Rodriguez. Natasha?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Eugene Rodriguez,
Yes.
Xavier Santiago,
Yes.
Isaac Scott,
Yes.
Russell Schuler,
Yes.
Anne Marie Vasquez, Candy Vivez Vasquez,
Yes.
Michelle Wilshire Clement, yes, Jordan Wright,
Yes.
and to conclude, Jason Wu. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So that concluded executive committee. Do we have any new business? Be it that there is none. Is there any old business? Okay, no old business. I'm not going to call the roll since we just did that. We had announcements. The board office will be closed February 20th for President's Day. CB11's next full board meeting is scheduled for February 21st. And we again will be voting on our statement of district budget committee. I appreciate everyone's patience. We conducted a lot of business, had a lot of members of the public and pre-registered speakers. So thank you for your patience. Candy, did you have an announcement?
Yes, when you're gonna send me email, send it to one email, which is candy10029@AOL, so I know that for sure. Anything that's being sent to me from the community board gets to that mailbox, not the Gmail. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
please.
because if I'm gonna make a comment or anything is given to us way in advance, as you commented so many times, you know, I read and I tend to read everything that I get in advance. With this whole cannabis stuff, yes, there is a lot of gray areas. I don't mind being part of the public comment, I'm not against that. It's just there's a couple of stuff there that really hurts our own people too. So I just want to put that out there. My email is candy10029, like our zip code, at AOL.com. So if anybody wants to email me, send everything there. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Candy.
good night.
All right, good night. Thank you very much. See that there are no other announcements. I want to wish everyone a happy new year again. Thank you for your patience, and we will see you in the next series of committee and full boards. And don't forget to sign up for the information sessions with the cannabis that was promoted earlier. And we will see you out there. Have a
Yes.
rest of your week.
Good
night.
night.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
everyone.
Good night,
Love
all.
you. Good night.